He's the Milli Vanilli of COVID.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, February 21st, 2021. This is your award-winning Gibbo Nation Media Assassination episode 1323.
This is No Agenda.
Drinking dirty water and broadcasting live from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I'm plagued by a noisy dove and a murder of crows. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Well, living in Austin, in Texas, I'm very sorry to hear of your struggles.
Isn't there some bird there that everyone hates? And it's like,
yes, the grackle.
Wrecks the place?
The grackle.
Grackles.
The grackles. They are the birds from Hitchcock, and they sit on the phone wires near the HEB around dusk. They start showing up, hundreds of them, and they make a racket. Grackles are not your friend.
Well, a racket maker besides this stupid dove, which keeps making hoo-hoo all day and night. In the last couple of days, we've had 2 murders of crows, these flocks of crows. They have these meetings.
Now, is there a number that goes with a murder, or is that just
all I know is this group
bunch?
is about 100, 200 birds.
Right.
And they just flock around and they land someplace and they just yak at each other. They're doing something. I don't know what they're doing. Exchanging data. I have no idea. All I do know is that if a bird, if you do anything to a crow, or ravens are worse, but anything to a crow, the crow will look at you, and then for some reason, every crow in the murder will now all hate you.
They're supposed to be very smart animals.
I would think, yeah.
Jeez. I hate it when they all turn on you. That's kind of scary.
No, you have to be careful. You always have to be nice to crows.
So we are in a bit of a crisis situation in Austin.
I thought you already were.
Yeah, but yes, the electricity is pretty much, it's still not restored to everybody. I think statewide, there's still at least 100,000 people who don't have electricity. Certainly further out towards Dripping Springs, which is kind of southwest of here. But
Dripping Springs?
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. Dripping Springs is where all the 80s rock guys go to retire.
Huh.
Dripping Springs is going to be a very hot area in the next 5 years, I think. But our water crisis is desperate. It's the stuff that you see on the news doesn't even really describe how, especially Houston, how bad these broken pipes are, because that is just messed up like apartment buildings, homes, businesses, strip malls. Water is just as necessary as electricity, it turns out, and not having it is just as bad. And because of the water main breaks and some down purification plants, we're under boil notice. And when you're under boil notice, a lot of things happen. There's no restaurants open. Remember when we had the boil notice a couple of years back because something messed up with the purification plant? Another fine Austin crisis where they had underinvested by $300 million and we were drinking Drek for a week and a half.
Yeah, actually, I do remember that. But that was a different situation.
Yes,
because of low pressure.
But once you have contamination, then they do a boil notice, and restaurants are forbidden from serving food. But also, there's certain types of produce that can't go into the supermarkets, and the food situation is pretty desperate. There's long lines to go into any of the kind of 3 main supermarkets we have, which is HEB, Central Market, and Randall's. Whole Foods has been closed. Whole Foods, they have no deliveries. Just in time Amazon failed significantly. So they're closed.
Just in time is designed to fail.
Yeah. And so
when it works, it's just in time.
It's just in time. Exactly. Well, the whole electricity situation was just in time. Now, what has changed miraculously is these lines in front of the supermarkets. There's no one. I mean, everyone was wearing a mask, of course. No one's social distancing. The extra scrubbing down and spraying of the carts. Yeah, that's gone. People are coming out and say, here's my cart. Oh, thanks, man. Because there's no carts left. So the whole Rona thing is just falling apart. But, we have Mark Hall. Sir Mark Hall is coming down probably later today. He had electricity, but he ran out of propane and his well was frozen. So he needs to take a shower. So he's coming down to take a shower here, most likely, unless he can get his well. I mean,
$5.
But you have to pay it in Bitcoin.
$5 in Bitcoin.
So, but it's a real problem. And, of course, we're Texans, and like every other state, you band together. We've got a lot of the local breweries are purifying water for the communities. I'll call them out: Bandera Ale Project and Plow and Print in Kerrville. They're just doing what they can to help. And we have a very political situation on our hands with, just like all other forces, we have the political forces at work. We have the electricity players, the generation and the trading of those players at work. And we also have, kind of the most egregious political thing. There's two things. So we may have gotten a little bit over it's the Green New Deal, and that's not being discussed as much now. Now the conversation is shifting to, well, Texas, those idiots, they've got their own grid, so they're not connected to America, which is patently false because, of course, we can get electricity from Mexico. I mean, it's just a lie. But there's this desire, and I think this has been there for a while, certainly with the progressive movement, and maybe a part of their Green New Deal, Agenda 2030 sustainable development goals overall, is to have that federalized. Now, for sure, what we have now is not good, but I don't want it federalized. But it doesn't matter, because AOC, after appropriately calling out Ted Cruz, let me see, this was, Cruz made a huge mistake, man. What an idiot. Where is he now? Where's Cruz?
I do want to discuss this Cruz notion.
Sure.
First of all, the guys who have been doing this bullshit are the guys that have been yelling and screaming about masking and staying at home, and then they go on a vacation. Texas is open. Ted Cruz has got nothing to do with yelling and screaming about staying at home, and he takes a trip to Cancun. I don't see the big deal.
Okay, I can tell you.
Except for image.
Yes, that's all that it is. It's, as a Texan, I know that he's a state senator. He's a senator representing the state, so he doesn't really control a lot. And when it comes to this type of crisis, it's the governor and the mayors. But the optics were just shit. And I like Ted Cruz, but I too was like, dude, you're supposed to roll up your sleeves. It's a small
you're supposed
leadership
to suffer
thing
with everybody else.
No, you don't have to suffer. It's a small leadership thing to be out there and whatever you're doing, but then going to Cancun, getting busted, and then throwing your daughters under the bus? Nah, screw that. Now, I'm going to forgive him for that eventually. It's not the end of his career for Texas. But yeah, it was super bad optics. And CNN gratefully took advantage of that.
In the newest installment of National Lampoon's Winter Vacation, Senator Ted Cruz wanted to get there fast and then take it slow, leaving on a jet plane, making like Space Jam by believing he could fly. But now that this Sloop John B. adventure has come to an end for the newest Beach Boy, it's time for the autopsy. So let's begin here.
How bad is that?
It couldn't be any worse. Are they just giving up?
I think so. It was just, what the hell? Anyway, AOC came down here, and a lot of people are doing fundraisers, and I don't think I've really been in the middle of a crisis that I can remember. This was a pretty proper crisis. We were very fortunate, but yeah, I think I'm kind of in the middle. And when out-of-staters show up, and the message that she was giving, it just feels like virtue signaling and a little disingenuous. It's just a feeling I have. It's still good that she's doing something, but her ulterior motive is very clear.
Texas Democratic.
Sorry, I just wanted to play the clip.
I was just going to say before you play the clip, does she show up at every crisis around the country like Jesse Jackson, or is it just this one because it happens to play right into her Green New Deal bullcrap?
Yes, I think the Green New Deal bullcrap is why she's showing up. And she also, because she started to get a lot of pushback for saying, well, we need more. This is what you get when you ignore the Green New Deal. So she had to do something grand to kind of cover that up so that wasn't top of the news. Not that mainstream is playing that much of her saying that. But here's the report.
Texas Democratic Representatives Sylvia Garcia, Sheila Jackson Lee, as well as New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who stressed the need to support those who are still suffering in Texas and address the issues that helped contribute to the crisis.
When disaster strikes, this is not just an issue for Texans. This is an issue for our entire country. And our whole country needs to come and rally together behind the needs of Texans all across the state. And, as was mentioned earlier, disasters don't strike everyone equally. When you already have so many families in the state and across the country that are on the brink, that can't even afford an emergency to begin with, when you have a disaster like this, it can just set people back for years, not just for days. And so we have tragedy in this state. We need to rally around the state. We need to rally federal support for Texans and the state of Texas. And we need to make sure that we make short and long-term policy decisions so that this kind of devastation, preventable devastation, never happens again.
By the way, the group also announced that they've raised more than $3 million so far as part of their relief efforts.
So she's all about federalization. That's why she's here. And there's the whole climate change angle is being played. I think this is from this was actually a fantastic whipsaw on CBS, Nancy Cordes, and this is more about the Paris Agreement, but it kind of fits in here.
America is back.
In his first virtual foreign address, President Biden made this vow to European partners.
An attack on one is an attack on all.
He said the Trump era had strained the transatlantic alliance.
Many countries owe us a tremendous amount of money.
And he promised to begin mending fences.
The United States is determined.
What was that?
Isn't that a beautiful whipsaw? It's like, here's what he said about Trump, and then they just play a piece of Trump.
What kind of reporting is this?
It's a very weird one. That's why I wanted to jam it in.
Had strained the transatlantic alliance.
Many countries owe us a tremendous amount of money.
And he promised to begin mending fences.
The United States is determined to earn back our position of trusted leadership.
As proof, he pledged $4 billion to COVAX, the global vaccine initiative. And the U.S. officially rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement today, a move hailed by U.S. allies.
And it's great, by the way, that Joe has brought the United States back into the Paris Climate Change Accords.
Mr. Biden took a tough stance on Russia today.
I thought there was something else about let's forget about it. That should definitely not be in this category. So I will move on to our mayor. And our mayor, for once, and I do not like our mayor. I got real problems with him. But he at least told the truth in his quest, I think, for the same federalization of the electricity grid in Texas. But he told the truth.
First of all, I hope your own family, your personal family, is safe and well during this time. But what is the greatest need right now for people in Austin dealing with this?
Our greatest need right now are water supplies. We need that's our greatest need. The suggestion that the energy crisis that we've had is over is not true, because the water situation we're dealing with is the direct result of that. We had in essence, a sufficiently deregulated energy system in Texas, so that the market didn't build in incentives for people to protect us and harden the system at the low temperatures. We have a system that was prioritizing inexpensive energy. The state needs to learn from this. The state leaders need to change that policies to protect us from where we are. About 2/3 of my city right now is without water, and that's a result of some of our water treatment plants losing power, consumption going way up. when the pipes are frozen and began to break because we weren't able to keep things heated.
So I believe him to be speaking the truth about the deregulated energy market, and there were no incentives, and it was a total greed move. And as I went down the rabbit hole of these regional transmission organizations, I didn't really have to go down. The rabbit hole was popping up to me. We have producers everywhere who know stuff about this. But here's what I discovered. It wasn't just Texas. It was all kinds of regional transmission organizations that had rolling blackouts, some for the first time ever in the existence of the people who live there. Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, they all are part of an RTO called MISO.
We begin with the massive blackouts across our viewing area. Right now, power is being restored from the North Shore to the south.
Our electricity strong arms, Entergy and Cleco, were forced to shed power tonight.
Missouri, a part of the Southwest Power Pool RTO.
Blackouts by city utilities resumed unexpectedly this morning, but have since been called off. Joe Hickman continues our team coverage. She's live with more on what happened and why. Joe?
We would certainly like more notification than we have gotten through this.
This is quite a historic situation and a kind of a disastrous situation at the same time that we find ourselves in, but we feel that we are handling this as the best we can.
That's because City Utilities is not its own boss in making those decisions. It's part of a regional electric grid known as the Southwest Power Pool, a wholesale market that coordinates the flow of electricity across 60,000 miles of transmission lines spanning 14 states.
And one of those states is Oklahoma.
Natural gas supplies continue to be an issue for the electric generation sector. We're fortunate today. We did have some intermittent interruptions this morning, but now the Southwest Power Pool has taken the region back to a level 1, which is where we started this several days ago. So that's a very positive step.
And here's what I'm getting from our producers from Omaha. We're in Omaha. We get some extreme low temperatures 1 to 2 times a winter for the past 3 to 5 years. We have never, ever lost power. Some days have been with wind chill sustained minus 25 degrees. Now that we've experienced these temperatures in wind chills in the past 3 to 5 years, we have never, ever had a rolling blackout. But on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, Omaha's electricity provider OPPD was forced to perform these blackout waves across the counties. We have our anonymous utility engineer who's checking in, heard your discussion about generation limitation in Texas. You're absolutely right. The gas company's primary obligated customers, residential customers. I can also confirm Morgan Stanley is a big player in the energy market. They take a lot of risks buying up energy for the future, then selling it before that contract gets executed. That usually works out, but sometimes when it doesn't, they pay relatively small liquidated damages fees for failing to deliver or take the energy they ordered. So that's another thing. It's a very small fine if you don't deliver the energy. And he, of course, blames this on deregulation. You can read his note in the show notes. And, yeah?
What I find interesting about the whole thing is that I guess it was 10, 12 years ago, 13, maybe longer. We've already gone. California is a leader. We've always been the leader. We do things first. Mm-hmm. We've gone through all this when Enron was running the show here, and then we finally kicked them out and fired the governor, brought in Schwarzenegger of all people, which makes it even more of a mockery. And we haven't had these problems ever since because we don't have this old system in place. Our blackouts now are more of a which I guess will be coming elsewhere.
Well, you still have a regional transmission organization in California.
It's been totally deballed.
Oh, really?
It doesn't have it doesn't do any of this stuff. And the blackouts now are only because PG&E, because of all those years of deregulation and what you just described as no incentives to improve anything, the power lines will arc and start a forest fire. and so now these idiots have to turn off the power in high wind situations where it might start a fire.
Right, you got other issues. You got your own issues there.
Well, that issue will come to the other every place else. Whatever we do,
more
we're
than
way ahead
likely.
of the game.
More than likely. Well, so for sure we have to stop this this behavior. It's just not the.
We'll talk about stopping the behavior. I have a clip here.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to stop the behavior, you should have known about this before. Play the weatherizing clip.
Yep.
10 years ago, in February of 2011, a massive winter storm stretched from Texas to Maine, hitting just ahead of that year's Super Bowl.
6 people were hurt when a wave of ice and snow fell from the roof of Cowboys Stadium.
And there was a lot of public hand-wringing after that storm, which also froze natural gas wells and led to power outages across the state.
Thick 2-inch sheets of ice covered everything: cars, trees, and of course the roads.
Texas politicians and regulators were warned that the state should winterize more of its power infrastructure, but those measures were expensive and were never made mandatory. Here's energy and climate consultant Doug Lewin.
Power plants in Canada work during the winter because they spend the money to weatherize. Do we need to spend that money to weatherize? There's costs associated with that, so there's a policy discussion to be had there.
And according to scientists, that policy discussion should probably account for climate change.
No.
I think that's a red herring. Because winterizing is exactly what Rick Perry suggested and was fired for. And winterizing means more nuclear, which if you look at the real graph, which ERCOT has now put out, it's in the show notes. Sir Gene wrote a letter to the editor of the Texas Tribune. He's all pissed off about it. Nuclear and coal kept us alive pretty much. And that's what Perry suggested. More nuclear. So he used the big N word and he used the C word. And he had to step down because he had favored other types of fuel. And you're not allowed to do that according to these unwritten rules. But that's winterizing. And of course we didn't do that. They fired the guy over suggesting it. So, yeah, Texas sucks in this regard. Really sucks. Now, let me debunk one thing. Or let me at least explain what it means, because it's a little people a little bit crazy about this one story. This is about the electric bills.
Some people in Texas who have power say they're getting hit with massive bills.
It was a negative $453.
Savannah Thipin says she switched to a wholesale electricity provider last year and her bill was never more than $50. But now she got a $600 bill for just 2 days after she says the company raised prices.
I'm really kind of predicting that I'm going to have to pay over $1,000 just for 1 week of electricity.
I just wanted to explain this story because it's going around like everyone's going to get billed thousands of dollars. Not true. There's one small electricity provider in Texas called Griddy, Griddy. By itself, you should already know this is not a company you want to do business with. Griddy. It's like some Web 2.0 name. They should have spelled it GRDI. Anyway, Griddy. And the way they have 29,000 customers. And you don't have to be a customer. There's other options. But people like that option because you paid $9 a month just to be a member, and then you paid your share of the wholesale price that came through Griddy, which comes through the RTO. And when these prices started to go up, they sent messages. They had all kinds of messaging to all of their 29,000 customers. Please switch because you're going to get killed. You got to switch. Now, that was a nice suggestion, but there was no way to switch. No one was in the switching business during this crisis. So these people, something's going to happen. I think that the Public Utility Commission will probably have to step in for them. But it's not like everyone's getting billed crazy amounts of money. It will be higher, and people will be called to account. And that's your update. So don't send us blankets. Don't send us cash. Send us water. That's all we need. And the online fundraising, it's irritating. Don't do it. We don't.
Do they have any way of getting? I mean, collecting money is one thing.
Yeah, what are we going to do with it?
Distributing is a different story. And if you're not a pro at it, what does AOC know about fundraising and distribution of funds?
And no one has told me what it's for. I have no idea. It's just she's good. She raised $3 million. It's good. Well, where's it going? What's going on with that? Where's mine? And the only thing I found positive that came out of this, not for the employees of the Ford Motor Company, is a great promotion for the Ford F-150 hybrid truck, which the new version has an onboard 7.5 kilowatt hour generator.
Yeah.
You can run your entire house for 85 hours on one tank of Ford F-150 gas and whatever the lithium-ion battery will provide.
And you should mention, and the lithium-ion battery, as you mentioned it, most of the battery cars and lithium-ion batteries, they're pretty much non-functional at 0 degrees.
Interesting. I hadn't figured it. Yeah. I mean, my neighbor, Steve, he just bought a Tesla, and he said there's a camping mode. You hit the camping mode, and then you can charge all your stuff, and you can run some appliances off it. But I don't know how long he was using it, or if the battery really, if that depleted. I'll have to ask him. But it should. Yeah, ask him. It should.
Well, if he kept it in the garage and he had some electricity to keep the place warm, it would have been fine. But
I don't. Well, no. He had no heat.
A lot of electric cars have problems when it gets too cold, and it also damages the battery.
Right. Well, okay.
But maybe they've worked that out. Maybe they worked it out.
So the only thing
we have most of the Teslas here in California. I do have one clip. I just thought it was kind of a funny WTF clip from NPR on advising people. I guess Texas was advising people to keep their water trickling, and then it seems as if the state water department said, no, don't do that anymore.
That's correct. That's correct. They don't do it, and I think they said that a little too early.
Well, here's the story.
Cities are even asking people to not follow the time-honored advice for avoiding a burst pipe, trickling the faucet. Louis Pino of Fort Worth is keeping his water flowing for now.
I know my water bill is going to be hell next month, but, it's going to cost me more if I shut them and then all of a sudden everything freezes.
And temperatures will stay near or below freezing until Friday. For NPR News, I'm Brett Jaspers in Dallas.
All right. Yeah.
The funny thing is that the story prior to that says that a lot of the water loss was because of the big mains breaking, because it was all backing up into the system because nobody was trickling their water.
Yeah, no, that's what I understood is there was no big call out for trickling water. It was other things because we didn't have electricity. So just that's what the massive news was. For the same reason you didn't hear about all these other RTOs doing rolling blackouts. It was just Texas as far as everybody's concerned. So you didn't really hear about the trickle. But I do recall specifically when Austin Water said, stop trickling. And then they had water main burst. So someone put some dumb message out there. Because when you stop trickling, then doesn't it start to back up there where it's frozen and then it has nowhere to go?
Well, what happens? You stop trickling, something freezes, something breaks, and when something breaks, then all the water starts lots of water starts blowing out all over the place.
Yeah, that's what we had.
Which causes the real problem of water loss, not the trickling. Somebody said, "Oh, that's just a waste of water. You're trickling."
Anyway,
and by the way, that guy sounds like he just had a hose wide open. You don't need to do that.
Just a little drip. That's all you need. Anyway,
going to run the bill up that much.
We had filled up our bathtubs previously, so we have that, and we're boiling water, and we'll be fine. But lots of people not going to be fine for a long time. Certainly in the Houston area, it is not good there, and they've just had thing after this. Just Houston is just not a good place, man.
It's cursed.
It seems like
it's a voodoo curse.
As the resident aviation expert, I'd like to make a few comments about the 777, which lost large portions of its engine yesterday. The first thing I'd like to mention is that that happened yesterday afternoon. Yesterday morning, leaving from an airport in the south of the Netherlands, a 747-400 had an engine explode and lost pieces of the engine floated, dropped down to earth, missed hurting anybody. But actually, I think there were 5 people who were hurt, one of which was a child who picked up some red hot debris from this engine. What are the chances of that happening twice in the same day, both Pratt & Whitney engines?
Seems high, but then again, random number theory just says otherwise.
So first to CNN, I would like to say, if you play an air traffic control clip and the pilot or the air crew notifies that they are heavy, that relates to the aircraft and that they are still full with fuel, probably have to dump some. It does not mean, as they went on incessantly, Yes, the pilot reported heavy damage. The pilot reported a heavy mayday. So CNN, you are idiots. And then I will answer the question from a pilot's perspective, what went wrong? Something in that engine wanted to get out, and it did. And that's all we know.
Well, that's all you're going to know until they figure it out.
Yes.
Pratt & Whitney's the one that's on the hook.
Yeah.
I didn't know Pratt & Whitney sold engines to the 777. I thought those were all Rolls-Royce or General Electrics.
I was surprised myself. Man, but when you see that cowling pop off in that guy's yard, holy crap. Those engines are so big. I think if I could stand up in the engine and still wouldn't hit my head.
Oh, yeah. No, you've seen people standing up inside that hole.
Yeah, I don't remember how it's so big. It's so big.
He's big.
Yeah, very big. All right.
COVID.
Well, yeah, COVID's. The Netherlands. Go ahead.
Let's go to Canada.
Oh, okay. Let's go anywhere but the U.S. Yes. Okay, good.
COVID. This is Trudeau and his new restrictions. The Canadians should get rid of this guy. Listen to this. This is horrible.
Starting next week, all international passenger flights must land only at the following 4 airports: Vancouver, Calgary, Toronto, and Montreal. In addition to the pre-boarding test we already acquire, as soon as possible in the coming weeks, we will be introducing mandatory PCR testing at the airport for people returning to Canada. Travelers will then have to wait for up to 3 days at an approved hotel for their test results at their own expense, which is expected to be more than $2,000. Those with negative test results will then be able to quarantine at home under significantly increased surveillance and enforcement. Those with positive tests will be immediately required to quarantine in designated government facilities to make sure they're not carrying variants of potential concern. We will also, in the coming weeks, be requiring non-essential travelers to show a negative test before entry at the land border with the U.S., and we're working to stand up additional testing requirements for land travel.
Wow. Nice. Well done. Guess those camps are real.
To me.
Guess those camps are real, huh?
Those camps are real. I guess I lost on that idea. Here's the guy this is Manitoba Prime Minister. I want you to listen to these. The numbers, I almost said it. Yeah. The numbers, it seems, in Manitoba are so astronomical.
No, go ahead. I figured this one out.
It's so astronomical that they're worried sick about the variants, and they've found a person or two that has them, and they don't know what, they're beside themselves.
Additionally, we are announcing that 3 confirmed cases to be the result of B117 COVID-19 variant have been detected in Manitoba. This is the variant first identified in the United Kingdom. This brings the total number of variant of concerned cases in Manitoba to 4. All 3 cases have recovered and have completed their self-isolation requirements. The number of contacts for the cases range from 4 to 24. I also want to note that these are not connected at all to First Nations communities. There is no evidence of further spread in Manitoba related to the variant. This is not an unexpected development. We are anticipating variant of concern cases in Manitoba, and we are prepared for this.
Okay, stop right there because there's a piece to this that you're going to love. I just emailed you a link. You have to see this because what's happening in Canada is Dr. Tam has just finished the Canadian modeling. And the model shows what will happen if they don't continue with enhanced combination of public health measures and individual precautions, the enhanced measures. It's a Twitter link. I'm going to keep talking until you bring it up because this chart is the most mind-blowing thing. So there's this chart that shows if everyone plays by the new enhanced rules, which I guess this is a part of this no travel crap, then, everything's just going to go down the slope the way you'd expect it to. But if not, there's this hyper parabolic, it's not even possible for it to zoom up like this. Do you see the chart?
I just got it.
It's look at the yellow. That is an actual trend line she's predicting if the health measures are lifted. And it goes up to 20.
It's the hockey puck.
No,
hockey
it's
stick.
not even a hockey stick, John. That yellow line is not a hockey stick. It's a rocket projectile. That's crazy. This is their model.
That's stupid.
I mean, is there any data? I mean, even in that short amount of period, you can't even test that many people to get.
They had the guy in Manitoba himself said that the 3 people that had the variant are all okay. They've already been cleared because they didn't really catch anything. They just tested with the variant, which I don't even know who's testing for variants, but okay. I understand you can do it. But
it's
this is
insane.
dumb.
Insane. And by the way, a little careful there with your variant talk. Okay? You know, people are getting a little upset with how these variants are being described. And the World Health Organization's Dr. von Kerkhove made a statement about this.
There are a number of virus variants that WHO is tracking with global partners around the world, one of which has been identified in South Africa. I would like to urge us not to call these the South African variant or the UK variant. Really, we need to try to remove any of the stigmatization against any of the countries that are working hard to recognize any mutations and changes in the virus. As you know, the virus evolves, it mutates, it changes. This is evolution. And this is natural. The variant that was identified in South Africa, the 501YV2.
So the only way you're not, it's like people experiencing homelessness. The variant identified in South Africa, that is now the politically correct way to say it. So the flu identified in Wuhan is possible, I think. It's hard to keep up with all this stuff, man.
Well, when they're that picky about stuff like this, then there's nothing to be concerned about in terms of health effects. This is nonsense. And this stupid chart is idiotic.
Isn't it great, though? I can't believe my luck on that one. That's so good. Let's go to the Netherlands for a moment. Now, I talked to Christina for about an hour yesterday. And so they had the court case, which one of these activist groups filed against the government, and the court agreed that the curfew was inappropriate and it went far beyond the powers of the government. The government, of course, went right back at them and challenged that. And if you recall, the funny part was that the court case was ongoing and then everyone had to go home because it was 9:00 and the curfew was about to start. So they had to move that to the next day.
Funny.
And now the court has said, well, you know what? We will revisit the issue on March 3rd. Okay, so that's another 10 days from now. And they have an election coming up, March 17th. As you recall, the entire government fell over a child payment scam that they had ordered thousands of parents to return money unlawfully and bankrupted many people through this practice. So I think that they'll just have the lockdown until March 17th and they'll do mail-in voting and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it seems like a perfect opportunity to try to pull that one again. But the BBC's Anne Holligan sat down with Prime Minister, or I should say acting Prime Minister since she resigned, Mark Rutte, and kind of shoved it in.
Mr. Rutte, how do you even start to heal and to fix and mend the complex divisions in Dutch society right now and stop people from becoming more polarized and radicalized? We've been traveling around the country and speaking to people who are losing faith in the system. They saw the U-turns over the COVID response. They saw the benefits scandal, the government collapse, the last in the EU to start vaccinating people. And they're finding themselves asking, where do I find the truth? And they're increasingly searching in places where the conspiracy theories are spinning around. Does that worry you? And is that something, do you think you can pull those people back and convince them that they can still believe in the government?
Well, of course, I fully respect your journalistic work, and the BBC has the highest standards.
So he disagrees with what she's saying, but how he starts off as well. Of course, I respect your highly regarded journalistic work, you shithole.
Respect your journalistic work, and the BBC has the highest standards and is known for its high quality. But on this issue, I completely disagree. Yes, there is a small group of people from the start who disagreed with the government. And when they disagreed, because they were not saying there was not a virus, but they were telling us you are not taking the necessary measures. And then we have always tried to engage in a dialogue and to discuss.
Yes, well, you're full of shit. So Christina was telling me how, the kids, they want to visit each other. And if you stay past 9 o'clock, you can't be caught on the street. And so they have entire lookout systems and SMS text message. So kids are hiding behind cars before they can run to the next one to make sure the Nazis don't see them before they can get to their home. It's pathetic. It's just pathetic. And they're taking it for some reason. Although the BBC feels that there's something up, people might not be that happy with it.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not that happy with it.
I'm
sure anybody who's a businessman that flies in and out of Canada is not going to be too happy with it either when he needs to do that.
How about flying from Fresno to Hawaii? You could get in trouble.
And this morning, we are learning more about a Fresno couple that was arrested in Hawaii. 2 Fresno residents now in police custody there. It's 22-year-old Miriam Rosas and 34-year-old Abel Rosas. They were arrested after an alert was sent to their hotel. Now, officials say the pair tried to check into the hotel on Tuesday with no evidence of a COVID-19 test or exemption. They were told they had to be placed into a mandatory quarantine, but they refused and left. Officials say the pair tried to check into another hotel, saying they were locals, but authorities caught up with them and arrested them.
What country are we in? Germany has there's the big brouhaha that the Ministry of the Interior solicited, documentation that the lockdowns were necessary and said, hey, make it as scary as possible. So this is now ongoing, and documents are surfacing that were a part of this justification of the lockdown, specifically Otto Köbel, who is from the University of Lausanne, and political scientist Maximilian Meyer, he's from the University of Bonn. Just before they gave this recommendation, they were both involved with recommending the lockdown. They had written their own paper in which they praised China's radical lockdown as a heroic measure and raved about the fact that the virus could be fought successfully if the whole world were like China. So that's nice.
Thanks for nothing.
Yeah, it's that people are waking up. I kind of enjoy that. I enjoy seeing it. Fauci has the latest update on us, when things will return back to normal.
Tonight, the question on Americans' minds: when will life get back to normal?
That likely will be, as the president said, by the end of the year, by Christmas.
Oh, yeah, just in time for the flu season, so we can extend it again. That's how cynical I've become.
Well, yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
UK has updated their public service announcements, the fear porn on the radio.
Could you look a COVID-19 patient in the eyes and tell them the risk isn't real? Could you tell an intensive care nurse on a 12-hour shift that you never bend the rules? Could you say, in all honesty, that you only ever leave home when you absolutely have to? Around 1 in 3 people who have COVID-19 have no symptoms and are spreading it without knowing. Are you absolutely positive you're not one of them?
Says who?
Stay home. Protect the NHS. Save lives.
They got a whole series of these.
Oh, I've got two clips myself.
Okay, what you got?
The BBC is out of control.
Yes, they are.
I mean, all you have to do is go to the BBC site. It's all harem scam. So this is the BBC. There's no reason again to do this commercially because they're paid for by the government. So you have to assume the government's kind of behind this, pushing this narrative. And if you see Boris Johnson, you'd have to you have to wonder what the hell's going on in the UK. I think a lot of it has to do with the Remainers trying to reassert themselves. Anyway, this was a BBC report. They found a plague village, an old village that was, well, you'll hear the report, but I'll have to tell you something that you didn't see after this runs.
Are you worried about what's happening now, the virus?
Of course, everyone is. I don't know how long it's going to last.
Oh, great. Oh, fear porn music.
This is Eam, a village I visited at the start of the pandemic.
Hi, Mike. Hi. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I came because of its history. In 1665, the village quarantined itself because of the Great Plague. But now, almost a year into the pandemic, how have they been coping?
Just firefighting. Everybody has to accept that the children will take time to catch up, and some will take a lot longer. In you go, you go.
When I was last at the school, it was a place for all the children.
Good morning, squirrels. It's great to see you all.
Now in this classroom, it's only the children of critical workers who are attending.
Man, that's the same vibe and voiceover they do in African villages. You know what I mean? Look at these poor children who still have a classroom.
They start this thing off by talking about how this village was isolated itself, which you have to do.
Yes.
But at the same time, they showed a bunch of gravestones of people who had the plague. So I guess the isolation didn't do jack. They showed a whole slew of gravestones outside the village from the villagers of people who died during the plague era.
Wow.
Kind of countermanding their own point. But
wow,
this is the kind of thing the BBC is trying to do. They're doing this scary, we're all going to die. And the kids, these pathetic kids, there's like 3 people in a classroom that should have held 30. And the kids were sorrowful because they had no friends and they had to be,
and they potentially can kill grandpa. So they're feeling really good about themselves because that's what they've been told.
Yeah.
Empty chair at the table. That's right. Your fault. Chairs. Your fault, child. I mean, it was nothing to play, but you and I sent a rare email back and forth about the BBC interview with Bill Gates, which was just unbelievable, packed with fear porn, done in a cathedral. I mean, it was just, the whole thing is insane, bombastic. They've gone, you're right, off the rails. Off the rails.
Now, here's another BBC report, this time on a whole town in Brazil that's going to be vaccinated as a test. They're using us as guinea pigs.
Serrana has around 45,000 residents. When a survey was carried out last year, it was found that around 10% of people here had contact with the virus. So the idea is to vaccinate the entire adult population here, around 30,000 people. So they can find out whether by vaccinating an entire city, it'll lead to lower infection rates.
By the end of the day, what we want to know is how we can get the level of vaccination that we can take out the mask and restart life before pandemic.
Scientists aren't letting us into the schools where the vaccinations are taking place because it's still very much an ongoing medical trial. But this is the control centre where you can see what's happening across the city. It's thought by about May they should have the first results.
Well, they're going to be in for a rude awakening. You don't get to take your mask off after you've had the vaccine. No.
Well, if you listen to the premise, they said they're going to vaccinate the entire city to see if it lowers the infection rate.
Huh.
What?
Let me just hear that again. They said it with such a straight face.
Serrana has around 45,000 residents. When a survey was carried out last year, it was found that around 10% of people here had contact with the virus. So the idea is...
What does that even mean, contact with the virus? But okay.
We vaccinate the entire adult population here, around 30,000 people. So they can find out whether by vaccinating an entire city, it'll lead to lower infection rates.
Bend over, Dvorak. Bend over.
Clip of the
day. That's the best. That's like, it's so Orwellian.
It's off the scale. And this is, again, BBC.
Oh, my. Now, before we get into vaccines, because I got some fun things, we've discussed it, but I just wanted to give a little update on the the cleansing of the Democratic Party, the purge. Thank you, everybody, for helping Joe Biden get into the White House.
CBS News has confirmed that federal prosecutors in Brooklyn have begun a preliminary investigation into the Cuomo administration's handling of nursing homes during the pandemic.
We are witnessing the unraveling of a cover-up in the implosion of a lying and corrupt governor.
In a recent report, the New York Attorney General alleged the state undercounted deaths at its nursing homes by as much as 50%. Now the state's death toll is estimated to be 15,000. Even Cuomo's fellow Democrats have begun to turn, joining state Republicans who want to cut off the emergency powers granted to the governor at the onset of the pandemic.
There clearly needs to be a full investigation. We're talking about thousands of people who were lost.
Cuomo has said he made a mistake by not providing accurate information after an aide admitted numbers were withheld from the public to avoid some sort of retaliation from the Trump administration.
No excuses. I accept responsibility for that.
It's going to be fun. I hate to say that the Schadenfreude is high for me on this. Especially de Blasio.
Yeah.
De Blasio's going after him. That's even funnier.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to take his Emmy back.
Oh, please.
Because it seems as if the Emmy was awarded for his great, honesty.
Yes.
It looks like he was lying all the time.
They took back Milli Vanilli's Grammys.
Ah, good point.
Uh-huh. He is the Milli Vanilli of COVID.
He's the Milli Vanilli of COVID. Yeah, get that Emmy. Get those Emmys back.
Meanwhile, exciting news regarding mink. Wall Street Journal podcast brought it to my attention first.
And investigators from the World Health Organization looking into the origins of the coronavirus are now focusing on two animals, ferret badgers and rabbits, that they say could have played a role in transmitting the virus to humans.
No.
Both were sold at the Wuhan market in China, where many early cases of the virus emerged. The team says more investigation into the suppliers of the animals is needed.
Now, we needed some deeper investigation into this. And I was extremely lucky to find our favorite professors, Brett and Heather Weinstein, who know all about these things, discussing how ferret badgers and rabbits connect to minks. And oh boy.
Unlike the case with pangolins, to which SARS-CoV-2 is not well adapted, SARS-CoV-2 is also not well adapted to bats, but it has spread like wildfire through mink farms. So minks are mustelids, and the virus not only infects minks, we've seen it infect other things like big cats in zoos, but what it does not do is spread from them. And the case in minks is exceptional. So minks actually catch the disease and they spread it very much like humans. It's well adapted to people. It's well adapted to minks. And ferret badgers is a small clade of closely related creatures in Southeast Asia.
Allow me to just do a tiny bit of phylogenetic description here. So this from one of the tomes of mammals. It's a little dated at this point, but this is the second volume of Walker's mammals of the world, the one that includes the carnivora, which is one clade. Within the carnivora we have...
She drives me crazy. This professorial...
They sound like a great pair to have at dinner.
I bet they're great in bed. Let me take your penis flaccus and make it penis erectus. As you know, that is the way the vagina works. And if you stick it in, and please remember the stimulation, when that is a clitoris stimulation. I mean, that's how it sounds to me.
As you have said, the mustelids, which includes, broadly speaking, the weasels, ermine, stoats, like minks, ferrets, and polecats.
Why is she breathless?
Because she's talking. That's how she talks. Maybe, please get that peristaltic movement going.
And then also within the mustelid is the genus Mellogale, which the common name for which is ferret badger. So, that's not a misspeaking. It's neither a ferret nor a badger, although it is closely related to a ferret. And, this is true across a lot of common names, right? That you end up with, I don't know what it is. I'm going to kind of call it both things. And,
but both ferrets and badgers are mustelids.
Thanks for the lesson. They're really interesting. But the way she talks, and it's better with video, because she does this, because as we know, it's like, it would be like you and I going, well, as you know, RSS feeds are having closures, and we have all kinds of different link tags, and we've got podcasting 2.0, and that's really, it's fabulous.
I think that if we were on NPR, we'd be talking like that.
No, maybe we would be.
I think it's great.
Yeah. They are a very precious couple, aren't they? Okay,
Well, what did we learn from them?
We learned that mink are very dangerous in the equation because they can pass it on to humans very quickly. But what we learned is this bull crap that it might have gotten into ferret badgers by frozen ferret badger meat in the Wuhan wet market.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Hello, professors. Time to give your cap and gown back.
Now, the other thing is, here's what's missing from the politically correct messaging. The mink are the repository of they finally figured that out, and they had to get rid of these mink because it turns out that the virus could live for weeks, maybe months or longer on mink fur.
In your coat.
And mink fur is very popular in China, and that's how it got. And people wear fur. You wear fur, you die.
Oh, wow. When did you learn this?
Yeah.
When did you hear this? This is great. You solved the riddle. It's to protect the Chinese.
I made it up.
It's the mink link. You did it.
I made it up, but it makes nothing but sense of your messaging.
I'm sorry. You did not make that up. John, tell me about the thesis you had on the mink link. Yes, the fur. Yes. And
they have found COVID-19 virus on fur.
And fur has been used since ancient times, as man has used that to stay warm and also for fashion back in the Stone Ages, right?
Although nowadays it's not necessary because the synthetic fibers will do the trick.
Yeah,
although we have to realize that synthetic fibers come from oil.
Oh my goodness, this is a clear climate problem. So I don't know what we're
going to do. Yes. Cotton. Cotton's the answer.
Raytheon. No, radon. What was that? What was that horrible thing they made suits out of? Dacron. That's what it is.
Dacron comes from oil.
Of course it does.
Everything comes from oil.
Shh. Don't tell anybody. A great, I love it when this happens. The Council on Foreign Relations is, they have to have their podcast. They got to talk about stuff. But I don't know who's editor in charge over there, but they need some quality control.
And then, of course, there's this big concern about the virus mutating. In some ways, Bob, we're sort of seeing Darwinian law playing out before us. The viruses are mutating. The mutations that make the virus more likely to replicate are taking hold. And we've seen a variety of these. We've talked about the UK variant, the South Africa variant, the Brazil variant. But I want to point out that it's not just that the vaccines are mutating overseas. They're also mutating here at home.
Did you catch it?
No.
Listen again.
It's not just that the vaccines are mutating overseas. They're also
Maybe the virus is mutating. I don't think the vaccine is mutating. It's hard to hear him sometimes, isn't it?
This is a problem because, for one thing, this guy has the modulation that just... whatever he says, you're not going to hear it.
Yeah, puts you to sleep. And proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, put me to sleep twice.
Oh, my goodness. We have such great stuff. Wall Street Journal podcast is just on fire. We've got a new Israeli study. And man, is it telling us something new.
The findings of the Israeli study published in the Lancet Medical Journal come as more countries weigh whether to delay second doses. Our reporter Boyan Penchevsky has more.
That seems to vindicate the decision made in the United Kingdom to delay the second dose in order to vaccinate more people as quickly as possible. More and more evidence is mounting from similar studies that actually delaying the second dose is a sound policy.
Who's this guy?
Hold on a second.
He sounds like a ghoul.
Well, he is.
I would like to suck your blood.
But listen to his message.
More and more evidence is mounting from similar studies that actually delaying the second dose is a sound policy. And if this were to be proven without a doubt, then basically countries like the United States would find themselves being able to practically double the number of people they vaccinate overnight.
So wait for it.
Pfizer and BioNTech still recommend that a second dose of their vaccine be administered 21 days after the first. Separately, the company companies also said today that their vaccine can be stored and transported in normal freezers rather than at ultra-cold temperatures of between minus 112 and minus 76 degrees Fahrenheit, which has posed logistical challenges.
So, what we've learned here is that, you can delay the second shot. It's not a problem. Oh, by the way, that $2 billion we spent on super ultra freeze devices, ultra deep freezers, that wasn't really necessary, but someone made out like a bandit. What utter bull crap is this? And it's all over ABC, too.
This morning, the winter weather creating vaccine chaos, slowing shipments and delaying tens of thousands of vaccinations across at least 42 states.
Not a problem.
In New York, 2 mass vaccination sites set to open this week, delayed because of shortages. In Los Angeles, 12,000 vaccine appointments canceled because there's not enough supply. While states deal with the backlog, new questions about vaccine doses. Some researchers now claim 1 dose of the Pfizer vaccine is already highly protective. They're urging authorities to delay giving second doses until all priority groups are vaccinated first. And now the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, still awaiting FDA approval, could end up being 2 doses due to concerns about new variants of the virus.
I believe that next Friday, the vaccine will be reviewed and probably approved at 1 dose, and it'll only be more helpful if we can then give boosters later in order to affect the immunity towards the variants.
Meanwhile, Pfizer will now test the vaccine on 4,000 pregnant women, a group excluded from the first round of trials.
Yeah, line up, ladies. Woohoo! So
this is like you'd imagine there's a board meeting and the Johnson & Johnson is saying, are these guys getting paid for the 2-dose thing? Yeah, boss. Why don't we just tell them they need 2 doses of ours too? You realize that'll double the bottom line. Oh, okay. Well, we can do that. Meanwhile, you go back over to the Pfizer guys. What's Johnson & Johnson up to? Oh, they're asking these guys to do 2 doses. Those bastards. Okay, we're pushing for 3 doses of ours.
And listen to this.
Pfizer submitted new data to the FDA, showing its vaccines can be stored in standard pharmacy freezers instead of ultra-cold specialty freezers. That could expand distribution to more vaccine sites. In addition, an Israeli study finds that a single Pfizer vaccine dose is 85% effective.
Okay, this is, again, multiple agendas at work. Pfizer is advertising. We know because we had Bill Gates on 60 Minutes, brought to you by Pfizer. Pfizer wants to push that they're effective. Pfizer wants to be the leader. Hey, you know what? Yeah, you guys are horning in on our business. We'll show you. You still need that second dose. We're 85% effective with 1, and you don't need a freezer. Ha ha ha, Moderna. Ha ha ha. At what point will people just go, I can't believe any of this anymore?
I can't. The amount of mixed messages you can take. You have to take the same vaccine from the same company. Oh no, you could take a mix of one and the other. Oh, it's got to be frozen. Nah, it doesn't have to be frozen. I mean, it's one thing. Oh, it's 85% with 1 shot. Yeah, you don't need 2 shots. Oh, you can have 2 shots. Oh, you only need 1. It's the mixed messaging has got to drive people crazy, but they're still lined up. The parking lot over at the Oakland Coliseum was onto the freeway, causing a traffic jam.
Yeah. So they didn't test the vaccine on pregnant women. So 4,000 lucky candidates. I'm sure they can't wait to test this puppy out. But they do have some incredible data, such as this.
And tonight, the profound impact of the pandemic. The CDC says COVID-19 dropped life expectancy in the U.S. by a full year in the first 6 months of 2020. For Black Americans, more than 2.5 years.
And how do they know this? What kind of calculation does that? Have we had a lifetime?
None that I know of.
Have we had a lifetime? And now I got to call Mo. Mo, you're black, so 2.5 years minus 2.5, bro. I mean, what the hell? It's stupid. It's so stupid. Meanwhile, UK firms are trying to make vaccines mandatory with the no jab, no job meme. UK firms. So it's the firms. It's not the government, but these companies are saying, yeah, we want.
Oh, they're a bunch of idiots. By the way, I'm now going to. We haven't discussed this. There's nothing really to discuss. But I would say 3, 4, 5 years ago, the term jab was only used in the UK, and now all of a sudden it's become commonplace in the United States. All the TV people showing jabs, the jabs. It used to be called a shot.
Yeah.
But somebody decided that a jab is less violent or something, and they keep showing it on television. It's sickening. Yeah. They show that people getting the needle in their arm, the upper arm, the deltoid, the bicep. And you watch this, and it's just gross to watch, and they keep showing it.
Yeah, they do. It's not going over too big in the military. Surprise, surprise.
Austin's day one message to the troops had vowed to do everything we can to vaccinate our workforce.
With this Pfizer vaccination, it is completely voluntary.
Now he is dealing with what one official called a surprisingly low vaccine acceptance rate. 2/3 overall, and less than half in the elite 82nd Airborne Division.
Yeah. I don't know what they're going to do there. I think aren't you kind of obligated in the military?
This is what's strange about this. This makes you wonder the value or even the benefit of the vaccine. Mm-hmm. In the military, they can give you a vaccine or shoot you up with anything because they did it with the anthrax and some of these other experimental drugs that nobody in their right mind wants to take.
Right.
But in this case, it's voluntary. How does that make sense insofar as the past has been concerned, as what we witnessed before? Well, why is it all of a sudden this one is voluntary? And then it turns out that half the guys don't want to take the shot.
I don't know.
In the elite forces, and then a third of them in the other forces.
Right, the 82nd Airborne. He goes like, it's enough out there to kill me, thank you very much. I'll take my own risk.
So there's that story is untold. There's something fishy about it.
Yeah. Let's see. I think that's about all that I've got on deck.
I don't know if I get any more.
Do you have anything?
No.
I do have one fun little thing. Just a little ditty to hold us over. Because if at all possible, I'd like to discredit Anthony Fauci. Because I feel
you haven't been doing that?
Yeah, I want to discredit him a little bit more on his record. I've been talking a lot about HIV. I thought this was kind of funny.
We often hear people say, mistakenly but understandably, they're concerned about an outbreak of cholera. There is no cholera in Haiti, so it would be extremely unlikely that there would be an outbreak of cholera in Haiti, even though you don't want to completely rule it out. It's not the first thing that you think of when you think of an outbreak of waterborne disease.
That was right after the Haiti earthquake, and lo and behold, truth was...
We are back as promised with our exclusive reporting on who was responsible for a monumental health crisis going on not far from our shores, an epidemic of cholera that broke out in Haiti after the earthquake there almost 4 years ago now.
Yeah, there you go. That's your expert. Yeah. Between that and wear a mask, don't wear a mask. The guy's he's a
wear
pitch
two
man.
masks.
Yeah, he's a pitch man. That's all he is. A pitch man. I don't know if he has any patience, if he does any of that. But no, this guy is evil. And with that, I would like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who first identified the C in cholera, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning to all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to every single troll in the troll room, which is to be found at noagendastream.com. Let's see how our trolls are doing here. Hands up, trolls. Let me do a count. Oh, I can't get a count. Someone do a count for me. My count powers are gone. Thank you, Darren O. And the count is 2256. Nice. 2,256 trolls hanging out. You can join them right now if you're listening live, but you probably aren't because you're not in the troll room, but you could be. Go to noagendastream.com. There's an IRC chat room, which you can connect to any IRC client, but there's the one on the web right there you can use, and the live stream. You can listen to tons of podcasts, live shows before, after the show. It's a community. And ask that community for an invite while stocks last to noagendasocial.com. We are going to cut it off at 10,000 members, but you can federate. And I'd like to highlight gitmo.life. That is a new server that has been set up, gitmo.life, and they federate with noagendasocial.com, so you can sign up there as well. And that is how it should work. Nice and distributed. And a big in the morning to the artist for episode 1322. We titled it Dark Fake, and Parker Pauly came in with an outstanding piece of art. It fit the bill perfectly. The blue, white ice snowflakes, stay warm, Texas state. It was. I think we both agreed on that pretty much. Like, boom, that's the one, right? Oh, wait, there was something else.
No, there was a few that we looked at.
The one we both liked, but had to turn down, was the one with the kangaroo with the
ball gag,
the blue ball gag.
Yeah,
and that was Trent. But when we nixed it, we thought it was funny. It was the blue ball gag with Facebook on it. That's what it was. But we nixed it because we felt that the ball hadn't been photoshopped well enough. It's
one of those situations where the thing has just got it's off just enough to make you. We accept a lot of off art, but this was a little bit more than we could take.
And it's too bad because Trent emailed me and said, "Hey man, I thought I had a chance," and I said, "Well, yeah." And I said what happened. We weren't happy with the technical part of the ball.
Yeah, it looks like the ball's kind of off to the side, like you're holding on your. It doesn't. It just was the. Yeah.
So here's his response.
The other one you also
wait. Here's his response. No, I knew it. I should have spent more time on that ball, but it was getting late. You should have seen the look on my wife's face when she saw my screen after midnight and it was full of full-screen ball gag images. And he said, all he had to say was, "Don't worry, babe. It's for No Agenda."
You also like the thermometer.
Thermometer.
Yeah, it was right between the stay warm and the ball gag image.
Yes, where the thermometer belongs. Right between the stay warm and the ball gag. That's how I like to
Other than that, there wasn't much. There was a piece which still kind of, Mountain J did a piece using the coronavirus image, which I've nixed.
Yes.
And it was actually a pretty good piece, although I don't know what it meant. It was just it's just pretty.
A lot, and there's a lot of good pieces, but some of them, again, you've got the size that it shows up on the overview page of the art generator. That's your size. That's the size that it's going to show up at, not the beautiful,
giant size.
The 525 or whatever. It's not going to show up like that. So there's lots of little, tiny words that are the joke, and it just doesn't work. So here's like Texas temperature 33. It's just small stuff. It's too small. So I'm just trying to help. That's all. Just trying to help. Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of nice. I mean, we get a lot of good art. Some good art coming up.
Indeed. Before we continue, and I would like to remind everybody that these artists can be seen at No Agenda. Artgenerator.com. You can participate yourself in this competition, although everybody kind of wins. A lot of this shows up on T-shirts, hats, mugs, you name it, over at noagendashop.com. Newsletters. But also, if you're using one of the Podcasting 2.0 podcast apps at newpodcastapps.com, you'll see these images flowing all over. Lots of people are now doing chapter images. And, of course, we have a lot of imagery to work with, so I'm very happy about that. And just before we move on, I wanted to say two things. One, I couldn't find it in my red book, but did I not predict that Joe Rogan would come back to free and open podcasting?
Well, it's nothing I remember. I mean, in passing, you probably said something like that. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that you said something like that. You were skeptical of the whole Spotify deal.
So what happened all of a sudden, and I think this is Spotify cracking because they really thought they could corner the entire podcast listening market with one app. No. So now they're back to posting. Now it's clips, more YouTube clips, and the old RSS feed has been reactivated. And there's now clips like the clip from the Elon show are now being put out on the old podcast feed. And I would say that's because they're having trouble converting people to their app to listen to the show.
Who listens to podcasts on Spotify?
Yeah, well, not enough from what it seems. So,
well, before we start on the rest of it, I have one thing to do. We get this can.
Oh, man, that sounds so good.
Taps Blue Ribbon! There's no place that I'd rather be than right here. My redneck, white socks and blue ribbon beer. Taps Blue Ribbon!
Enjoy. And I did want to make one observation that this would be a tip. This is a tip if you are a budding podcaster. If you want a tip, and if you want to do something that could be potentially very successful. I was reading a blurb about the Rush Limbaugh show. The Rush Limbaugh passed away, and so what is going to happen to this show? And the answer is his syndicator, which is iHeartMedia, a Premiere, but a division of iHeartMedia. For the foreseeable future, they will continue to run Best of Rush with some of the stand-in hosts like Mark Stein and whoever else sits in from time to time. They will be connecting the Best of Rush clips to each other and make them relatable to the stories in the news that are happening today, which I think is one of the dumbest ideas I've ever heard.
I bet you the numbers stay up.
But I think, and let me tell you, if I were a younger man and we didn't have no agenda, I would do a live show, 3 hours. I'd copy his format for as best as I could. 3 hours. I started at noon Eastern, from noon to 3. I'd be taking calls, and I'd just beat the hell out of it. On an app, I'd have an app so you can stream it. I'd be a Republican. You got to be all those things. Anyone who thinks they can do it should give it a shot, because I think people will be looking for some freshness. In that exact, that has been, how many years has that time slot been his?
Oh,
30?
I don't know. Well, he started in 87, but this time slot probably appeared around 90. Yeah, probably 30.
Just a thought.
About 30.
That's what Tim Pool should do. Not that he's, the next Rush Limbaugh, but I'd be doing that. I'd be streaming live at that time.
Well, if I was a younger man and I was listening to Rush Limbaugh all the time and now he's gone, I would just switch over to Jim Rome. He's at the exact same time I'm listening.
The way this podcast works is not through creepy, what's the line you use in the newsletter? I like it. Not through creepy ads or creepy Chinese sponsorship. I forget. It's a good one. Whatever that is. It's a good little line. Yeah. Instead, we ask for your time, your talent, your treasure. To help us produce the show. That's why everyone who is listening is not a listener. You are a producer. And let's thank some of the executive and associate executive producers came in with financial treasure support for episode 1323.
1323. I had a phenomenal, I did that last newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
And probably the first time I made a typo in there. And nobody caught it.
Well, I caught one.
No. This is a big typo.
Really now?
I said it was for show 1322.
Oh, the previous one. Okay.
And this would be the typical, you got the number of the show wrong.
Oh. I know that guy.
Yeah, he comes up, he shows up.
Very annoying. He's very annoying.
He comes up. No, that guy didn't show up. Too late now. Well, meanwhile, of course, the Horde comes in from Pritchard, Colorado with the show club numbers.
Holy crap.
$1,323.
Haven't had that in a while. My
in
goodness.
the morning, no jingles. Any cow karma. Ignore the PayPal name. We're requesting the title, The Horrible Horde of Better Beef Cows. Hopefully there's still room on No Agenda Social. Yep. Pinners and Pepsi?
I think it's Pinners. Pinners and
Pinners
Pepsi.
and Pepsi at the table?
Yeah.
Thank you for exquisite sound quality and content, the Horde. Now, is he growing Wagyu?
I don't know.
Or just Prime? Or what's he doing? And he's in Colorado. Colorado's got a lot of cattle. A lot of cattle ranchers.
No idea.
Okay, well, thank you. Here's your...
Yeah, there you go. Okay, thank you.
Here's your karma.
Yes.
Cow karma.
Well, I don't really have cow karma.
Moo, I could do that. Oh, wait. I've got this.
You've got karma.
Beefy, baby.
This is how you do it, folks.
Tight. Too tight for this market, Dvorak.
Tight. Trenton Scoville is tight, or it was probably once in a while. 765.44. Yes, we do the segues too.
Mm-hmm.
ITM again from Charlotte, where Charlotteans are seeing a lot of New York State license plates. Shout out to the strong contingent of North Carolina dames, knights, producers. We have tons of them, and listeners, lots. Many small amygdalas in this state, thanks to you both. Looking forward to the Charlotte meetup on February 25th. The donation brings me to Baronet. Please dub me Baronet.
You got it.
Scovey of the Piedmont. Assuming approval by the Peerage Committee, approved. May I request a 2012 Silver Oak Cabernet and a bone-in filet mignon for the round table?
You got it. I ordered it from the Horde.
Yeah.
The Horde's bringing
guessing
it.
The 2013 was better.
Oh.
But I'm just guessing. I haven't had it.
I had a 2017 JJ Pinot from Willamette Valley.
Yeah.
That was good. Are you familiar with that?
Willamette Valley, Oregon makes tremendous Pinots.
Yeah, but there's a lot of crap ones. I just wanted to throw it out there.
In fact, the crap ones are so outnumbered by the good ones, it's actually kind of pathetic.
Just helping the wine talk, baby.
Yeah, well, good. Well, people, did you get it at Costco?
No, I got it at Randall's. That's all. Costco has a line, like a 10-mile line.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
If you ever, by the way, this just a little tip. He's got a bunch of stuff here that he doesn't want us to read. I wouldn't mention that, and he's got his numbers here. We have read that, Trenton. Thank you. Costco, if you go on Google and you type Costco, your local store, on the far right side, I don't know if this is everywhere, but I know it's local. You have to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page because it's got a little Costco sidebar. It says Costco, and it's to show store hours. You scroll all the way down to the bottom. There's a small graph showing the minute-by-minute number of people who are at the store. If it's a lot low, or it has a normal graph, and then it shows you what's going on now.
Oh, okay.
Does it
work? Is it real?
Yes, it's great. I look at the thing and I say, then it starts to trend down, and I see what it would be like in the next hour. And then I can see the trend line is going down. That means there's going to be nobody there. I'll go over there. There's nobody there.
Huh.
And it's the best. It's one of the little benefits that I don't even know how they're doing it, but and it's up to the minute.
Let me give Trenton his Jobs Asian dog karma.
Jobs.
No, he wanted Trump full-throated, right? That's what he wanted. Here we go.
Jobs.
You've got karma.
333.34 from Phoenix, Oregon, from Wyatt Wermess. Phoenix, Oregon. Wow. I don't know where that is. Greetings to you both, Facehole Noise Radio Wave private entrepreneurs.
Thank you. Facehole.
Mr. Wermess, a 26-year-old here from the greater Medford area. That's where it is.
He's a millennial.
Moved out of the crap hole state, California. Yeah, you moved into the worst crap hole state as far as I'm concerned. Looking for a new home after losing my job and house from the lockdowns in April 2020. I lost my job at a ski resort rental shop.
Yeah.
Through hard work and stressful days. It was my first time in my life I had a promotion to supervisor. 1 week later, I'm laid off with no money for rent. Now I work at a 7-Eleven-like store. Extremely boring. Politics have been crazy these past 14 months, and my uncle just accused me of wanting to kill people.
What did he do?
He said, since I said cloth muzzles do not provide protection from the cornholio virus, on my birthday, he said this. You guys are the greatest, and I've been listening since 2018. Call me out as a douchebag for not discovering your pod earlier. We can do that.
No, well, okay.
Douchebag. Now you can de-douche him.
You've been de-douched.
You'll hear from me again next month for Jingles Just Jobs Karma for those who need it. Kay, thanks. Bye.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
Rolling along with Jacob Schmidt in Madison, Indiana, 333.33. Sitting him out by my friend, a fellow producer, Trent from Indianapolis, on a road trip last year, and I haven't missed an episode since. I believe we're both third of the way to knighthood now, but he should probably be closer since the road trip was to pick up his Porsche.
Well, now.
Thanks for the sanity and all the great jingles that confused the hell out of my wife. And no jingles, no karma for him. Scott Moore in Franklin, Tennessee, 333.33. This donation is responsive to my current odometer on a 2003 7.3 Power Stroke.
I saw
hitting the 333.333.3 mile mark.
Did you see the picture?
Photo attached.
It was good.
Which I'll go download because that would be good for the newsletter. 333,333 and 3/10.
That's some kind of special thing, man.
That doesn't happen often.
Can that be an odometer producer? I mean, if you got something like that, I mean, that's almost as good as
the odometer donation.
Odometer donation.
I was thinking about a dog donation for knighthood because they named a Springer Spaniel Order of the British Empire. I posted it on No Agenda Social.
Oh, really now? Huh.
Yes. A Springer Spaniel has been given the Order of the British Empire.
Well, then we should be able to knight dogs.
I'm thinking so.
They are people
too. Can do it.
Yeah, they are people too, after all.
Well, that's a good point. And that would be the jingle.
Perfect.
All right. Well, think about that. People out there, you give us some ideas. We'll do it. We'll do what you want. I would like this donation to go towards the future knighting of the aforementioned truck, Cecil the Diesel. Well, he's going to knight a diesel.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
So, a dog. I mean, come on. Dogs are
be honest
too.
about it, yeah.
May we share many more road trips together, man. That's a
333 miles.
That's a lot of miles on a 7.3 diesel. They're built to last.
Yeah, they are.
May I ask for jobs karma as I find myself working for someone else after an 18-year stint of self-employment? You know what? You're used to being self-employed. You can always go back to it. I'm sure this will work out. Okay.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got.
I'll grab Parker Pauly, who we just congratulated as being the artist for the previous episode. $333.33. He is from the Susquehanna Valley. WSQV 95 FM, Susquehanna Valley. See, I still have the T-shirt. In the morning, it's my first donation to No Agenda, and it's long overdue. I failed my upbringing. My mama, rest her soul, always said, Parker Pauly, whatever you do in life, don't be a douchebag. Please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
Sounds like she was a fine woman. When did I start listening? Let's just say one of John's Sunday visits to Petaluma led me to the best podcast in the universe. I've enjoyed the insightful media deconstruction and decidedly twisted entertainment for a long time. After the past year with the never-ending crazy gravy poured over Looney Tunes with a double serving of bunkers on the side, I've become even more appreciative of what you two and the broader producer community do. And I've been reminded of what my mama always said, Parker Pauly, always remember the golden rule is value for value and don't be a douchebag. I've recently gotten involved by contributing art, and I'm honored that you have selected my work a couple of times. But as far as value for value goes, I am playing catch up. So today is a small step in the right direction, but not the last. Oh boy, this is running long. My mama always said, Parker Pauly, be sure to keep your donation notes short and sweet for the crackpot and the buzzkill fellow. And don't be a douchebag. I'll try to do better next time, mama. No jingles, but a jobs karma, please. Thank you. Stay safe and stay warm. Thank you, Parker Pauly.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
I bet his mom was a fun person to hang out with.
And how do you assume it's a he? You said his. Parker is an androgynous name. It could be a woman or a guy.
I am biased because I know two Parkers in Austin. And male Parkers, they look like Parkers. It's hard to explain.
They look like Parkers?
Yeah.
Was it valets at the front of the restaurant? Is that what you're saying?
No, Parker is kind of more like a collegiate, nerdy kind of dude, but he's dressed snappy. And he has kind of a tinge of elitist upbringing. Who else names a kid Parker?
Well, I agree with the elitist aspect. Yes, who would name a kid Parker?
And I would like to say, I didn't ask on your behalf, but C. Mike, our producer C. Mike, who has 9 kids.
C. Mike with the 9 kids, yes.
Yeah. He says that his second son, his middle name is Adam, named after me. So I wonder if there's a John amongst these 9 children.
I doubt it.
They were all born during the show.
They're all born between 9 and 12 Eastern time?
Yes, that too. And in the past 14 years. Yep.
Mr. Dubalina in San Diego, California comes in with $333. I think I'd like to keep myself anonymous, so let's call me what I just said.
Mr. Dubalina?
I donated some money a few shows ago, and Adam put my name out there in harmony with the rap.
It's Mr. Dubalina, Mr. Bob Dubalina.
Anyway, thank you for not putting an S on that, or Z. I wish I was so cool to say that I've listened to you for years, but alas, I found you through the JRE show. Bing!
There it is.
Rogan donation.
I very much appreciate and respect what you guys are doing. It makes me sad that it took me so long to find you. Yes, people, as we go into the show, 5,000 will be picking people up. In show 1322, you mentioned that Fauci won the $1 million prize for defending science. But you didn't mention that the award came from Israel. You guys then went into a clip talking about Israel's draconian vaccine passports. My question for you, by the way, which he put 2 and 2 together.
Mm-hmm. Thank goodness.
That's why
he's a producer.
My question for you is, what in your opinion is Israel's role in all of this? Zionists do have heavy influence on the M5M, Hollywood banking, and Wall Street. I think that basically Israel dumped the U.S. some time ago and now dating China, though the U.S. doesn't get it. The U.S. is now Israel's late-night booty call, while China and Israel are planning their wedding in nursery. The baby is the One Belt, One Road program. And all of the nonsense, COVID hysteria, race wars, etc., are all designed to distract from that fact.
It's quite
a controlled demolition, if you will. Look, before anyone says it, one can criticize a political party like the Zionist. There's a Zionist party without it being racist. Disagreeing with policy does not make someone an anti-Semite. It's like saying you disagree with the Democrats or Republicans mean you hate America. Sometimes it does. Have you ever read the Zinn book? P.S. This now puts me over and qualifies me as a knight. I forgo my username, so I created a new one. LOL. And then he's got the One Belt, One Road from Foreign Policy Magazine. Linked.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has Ben Gurion's prediction from years ago, linked. So he says that the Israelis are selling out the U.S. I really don't think so.
I don't think so. That doesn't seem right. But, there's a lot of people out there.
We'll find out soon enough.
We will. We'll be right on top of it.
Was there no jingles? No nothing?
I don't believe so.
Okay, well, he's just on the list then. Cameron Hunter, 333. Jingles, take this virus. Can you see the juice? Fauci wheeze. I'll get straight into it. My friend's mother told us she got the vaccine. After a few minutes of discussion, I said I wouldn't be taking it. Her reply was, but you have to. And I said, why? Her reply was, you just have to. I take anything they give me. I outlined the points, the most important being COVID-19 survival rate. My friends, all with adequately small amygdalas, pointed some more things out, which was nice to see. Love you guys. The vaccine shaming has commenced. Come talk to me about equality when I can't leave the country due to the vaccine.
Yeah.
Adam, stay warm. And John, you might forget this from time to time, but I need to remind you, stay safe. Love and light.
Take this virus.
Oh my gosh. Can you see that juice?
There you go.
Actually, that's pretty good.
It is a very good one.
Sir Leiron.
Oh, that tickled
Southeast somewhere. Southeast Alabama, I guess. 3:30. Gents, with this donation, it's honored to become a baron and claim the Wiregrass Region Protectorate. To be brief, no jingles, no karma. Love the show. I sent PS about Texas power outage to j@dvorak.org. Keep up the excellent work, Sir Leiron, Southeast Al.
Swizzy from Chiberia, Illinois, $250. We know where that is. Swizzy from Chiberia says, since I was so savagely called out as a douchebag by Emily on the last episode, can I please get a de-douchen? Yes, you can.
You've been de-douched.
I shudder at the thought of crystals and sage. I started listening to you guys back in February of last year after Adam was on Rogan. I swear I heard that voice before and realized it was the dude with the hair on Headbanger's Ball. I've since become a diehard No Agenda fan and haven't missed an episode. I came for Adam and I stayed for JCD. John C. Dvorak is my buzzkill spirit animal. Hey! Thank you for keeping me sane over the past year in more ways than you can imagine. May I please have a mac and cheese jingle for Emily, and you're going to need a Bitcoin and an amen, oh woman, as well as a R2-D2 karma. Yeah, we can do that.
You slaves can get used to mac and cheese, cheap macaroni and cheap cheddar melted together.
Mac and cheese.
They're saying that all hell is going to break loose and you're going to need a Bitcoin.
A man and a woman.
You've got karma.
There you go.
So I believe Chiberia is a conflation between Chicago, where he's from, and Siberia.
I think that's correct.
Because they have a little snow going on there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Tomas,
not a little bit. It's insane how much snow they got.
That's Chicago.
Man, my stepdaughter's out there. It's pretty bad. And she works at for one of the aldermen, and her job is to arrange volunteers for snow shoveling. Yeah. That ain't happening. There's no shoveling going on now.
Tomas Mykoukis in Pasadena, California, 220.20.
Oh, yes,
Monday,
Thomas.
222 is our one-year wedding anniversary. We celebrated with a small weekend getaway and a fancy dinner last night. But what better gift than our second donation to No Agenda? So happy anniversary to Jake from Tom.
Aww.
A simple karma for another year of happiness would be great. P.S. Thanks again, John, Adam, and Tina, for your hospitality when we visited Austin. The official No Agenda married gays. Can't wait to go to dinner again soon.
Nor can we.
You've got karma.
They are very cool. They're cool guys.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Amanda Ide in St. Petersburg, Florida, 220.21. And she sent a note. Handwritten, I might add, so I'm going to read it. Or you can read it. You have a copy. I want to see you do this.
Okay. I didn't have it up here, but I'll do it. No problem. I can do this for you. It is quite a beautifully written note. Birthday donation. John and Adam's donation is in honor of my smoking hot husband, Neil's 52nd birthday on to 2021. He's an amazing dad to our two human resources, ages 12 and 9, and the best husband ever. It's been about 3 years now since Neil ever so gently hit me in the mouth, and I've been hooked on No Agenda ever since. Sadly, this is my first donation, so please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
As nutty as 2020 was, our family managed to get through it all with our sanity intact, thanks in no small part to your twice-weekly amygdala-shrinking media deconstruction. Even though our kids don't listen to the show yet, they reap the benefits from it simply by having two parents who do couples who do. Couples who know agenda together, stay together. There you go. Oh, this I didn't see the jingles. I'm just realizing that. You got Biscuit on the birthday. I can't read it. OMG, amazing. Sorry, that I should have been prepared for that.
Little girl, yay.
Amazing. And then little girl. And was any karma associated with that?
No, but she says go Bucks, and I'm sure she wants that said.
Okay, you do the go Bucks bit.
Go Bucks.
They always give me a biscuit on my birthday.
Oh my God, that is amazing! Yay!
Not bad.
Yeah, I still got it.
Hey, people still. I'm talking about the story.
Oh,
people are telling stories with these jingles.
It's a very good story.
Should be some sort of an award for these stories. Maybe we'll start one. Don't you think?
Yes.
Force people to do stories instead of just random jingles.
That means we can have a meeting about it.
Catherine Jennings won't be at the meeting. $210. She's smart money. She wants us to switcheroo to credit this to J.D. Moore.
Okay, we can do that.
ITM, gents, please credit this to J.D. Moore for his birthday on February 24th. Thank you so much for all you do to keep us sane. NA is truly the BPITU. Stay safe. Happy birthday from your under-socialized, over-informed JC crew. Jingles, everyone hug and share a secret.
Oh, there's no winning. We don't like to foster a competitive atmosphere, but we laugh a lot. Now everyone hug and share a secret.
We got a really couple of great end of show mixes today, and Rexo is back, Rexo solo, and it's kind of similar to these notes that the people keep saying, because of the show, and they say John Adam. I think it's really the show and everything that goes along with it because it's much bigger than just us. That at least that gave them some perspective and some humor or something. There's something that happens when people listen. And they just, the amygdala, obviously, but they just feel better about everything and are just freaked out. It's like medication, only it's good stuff.
Yeah, why don't you play this then? Play this clip. Scott Adams on No Agenda.
Hold on a second. Okay.
And you can see some other ones. Yeah, the No Agenda podcast. I would say that would be another excellent example.
That's right. Excellent. Now, mind you, that came after you said Tim Pool, but okay, we'll take it.
Oh, no, it's not true. You're not telling the truth.
I'm pretty sure.
It's after he said Tim Pool about 50 times. And it's after he says all these people, and then he never talks. It's not that he never says Poolcast. He never names the podcast. He just names our podcast and then never mentions our names.
I can remember because, you're not really a friend. You haven't been to his house. You don't know anything about him. Maybe he's just forgetful.
Well, I think there's an element of forgetfulness based on...
Hey, I'll take it, man. And by the way, it wasn't of his own volition. It was someone in his chat.
Yeah.
So I hate to say... So really, it was kind of a bummer to hear that after all. Now,
it was.
I'm just kind of bummed out.
But he likes Tim Pool.
Yeah, the Pool man. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah. Thomas Shanone, I don't know, Shanoni, that's got to be it.
I think Shanoni sounds right.
Yeah, Thomas Shanoni in Chicago.
Shanoni here.
Shanoni in Chicago at $202.02.
Yeah.
Just returning from some value to your boat. This COVID analysis has been generally very strong and necessary counterweight to the M5M fear porn. I think lots of anti-lockdown web pages and message boards such as the R Lockdown Skepticism take cues and clips and info from you two. Yeah, I believe there's a lot of people that take stuff from us. More than usual.
Yeah, probably.
In the recent days.
Well, we also publish it. We publish our clips and stuff. It's a free. That's always been our system. It's fine.
We wouldn't mind a little credit once in a while.
Would be nice.
Yeah, but no, they're just stealing.
Yeah. Well.
I also want to take this opportunity to cordially invite all the slaves to Gitmo Nation, and especially the slaves in Gitmo Nation Deep Dish. Well, it's a good place. And Gitmo Nation, the region, to celebrate my last weekend as the magic number of the Horseshoe Casino in Hammond, Indiana.
Oh, hey, you might bump into my sister-in-laws.
They go to the Horseshoe in Hammond, Indiana?
They go to the boats. They love gambling. And Lisa always wins. But I'm not talking just a little bit. $2,000, $5,000. It's crazy.
Well, there are people like that.
Yes, she is one of these people who she's walking along. Oh, there's $100. She picks it up right off the ground. I'm not kidding.
It's just people like that.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do.
I'm not one of those people, but she is. It's very funny.
The meetup will be on March 13th from 2 to 4. Check the No Agenda Meetups website. It's noagendameetups.com. For the details, Chicagoland needs a meetup, and I hope to see you all there. If you don't come, I'll assume you support JB, Lori, and the lockdowns. He's talking about Beetlejuice. Is that what he's talking about?
Not in Indiana.
JB Lori, isn't that the mayor? What she's talking about? Lockdowns?
I guess.
No jingles, just baby making R2D2 karma for myself and my smoking hot wife.
You've got karma.
And last but not least, Sir John Knowles, the Baron of Murfreesboro in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, $200. The Baron of Murfreesboro is requesting jobs karma and a reminder that there are 2 meetups in Nashville this week. Come one, come all, to either or both.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
And that's our group of producers, executive producers, associate executive producers for show 1323. Thank you very much, each and every one of you.
Beautiful looking group. These are titles that you can use anywhere in show business, on your CV, your resume, just to impress people, business card, pick up chicks, pick up guys. Hey, if only I could find an unknown. I'm a executive producer of the No Agenda Show. These are yours, and they're yours to keep, and we really appreciate that. And I'm very excited about our next donation segment, where we thank other people. We have a number of, the meetups are off the hook. We have some good meetup reports, and the producers have come through once again. We live one more episode. Thank you for supporting the No Agenda Show. If you'd like to do that for our next show on Thursday, just go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
Thank you for contributing your time, your talent, and your treasure to the best podcast in the universe.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth. Squirrel!
Shut up, Slade.
I'd like to make an observation. There's a lot of conspiracy stuff that's always going around. I'm a conspiracy therapist. So first I would I should have pointed out earlier, but no, I don't think China brought down the grid in Texas. So just put that out there. They are an issue. They're an issue. And there's this firm belief based on screenshots of video that the Biden you see is an imposter wearing a prosthetic mask. And there's plenty of people pointing to where the mask is over the throat. And I'm like, people, how his forehead is frozen. I believe in body doubles, but seriously, like a Mission Impossible mask, that's what you think is going on here? He's Botoxed up. That's why the wrinkles in his forehead are stuck. He's completely Botoxed. And when you do that, I know a lot about plastic surgery. A lot. My first ex-wife is put together like Mr. Potato Head. I know all of the different pieces. I know how it works. And the Botox, it's mainly in the forehead. And when done properly, it can lift the eyes. It can even lift the cheekbones. So that's what's going on. The man would be a sagging mess if he didn't have the Botox.
Droopy dog.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's a prosthetic mask and we're being duped. I like it, but no, I don't think that's true.
We have to go back about 6-7 years when there was a nice clip, and it's not discussed at all. I wish we could find the clip on Botox, but where they brought up the fact that if you are Botox in areas of expressiveness, in other words, you get surprised, your eyebrows go up and all, and you can't express these things muscularly, it actually cuts off your ability to have those emotions.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember?
Yes. Let me see. What is this?
I'm sending this message to you, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi.
No, that's not it.
Yeah. What?
It says Botox mom. I was just going on a lark, see if I could make it. No, I think you're right. That the idea was that, when you laugh or when you smile, you physically change something in your body. The chemicals change in your brain, and you feel good. You laugh, and it's like, even if it's a fake laugh like I just did, it gives you endorphins and stuff.
Well, it's like a fake smile. A fake smile is actually healthy.
We'll make you happier. And when you can't do it, you become just a cranky old wife.
Well, that's what's happening here before our very eyes.
Yes. Joe can't make any expressions. It's kind of sad.
I was watching, I've got a couple of clips here on Putin, and I was hoping to do a third clip because one of our musician producers, known for his, doesn't like to be mentioned, I don't think, but he's known for his prowess on a guitar that has a lot of strings. Okay. And sent this thing from Lou Rockwell talking about Putin's discussion at the World Economic Forum, which was a couple of weeks ago, going on how Putin was putting down the whole idea of global governance and one thing after another. It was like a pretty inspiring piece, but it seemed as if the Rockwell organization or even the writer, nobody listened to this speech. I went back and listened to it. I could get nothing from this boring 45-minute Putin speech. He just said none of these things. It was a bogus write-up. But we do have some Putin information here from this guy who's another journalist, a friend of the Useful Idiots, Matt Taibbi and Katie.
Before you continue, did you see Matt's eulogy of Rush Limbaugh?
Whose?
Matt Taibbi's eulogy on Substack.
No, I did not.
It was horrible. Luckily, Rush Limbaugh can no longer spin hate like he used to.
Taibbi is like, he's like...
very disappointing from him.
He has a...
you don't need to stomp on the guy's grave. It's just not appealing. We don't even do that. We'd like to.
The stuff I've seen on... Another one was S.E. Cupp.
Yes.
She came out with a long standalone piece on CNN or wherever she's working. I think it's CNN. And it was just really... I listened to Rush Limbaugh since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw at the very early days of Rush Limbaugh, he had been given a spot on ABC TV. This was in the first 2 or 3 years because he was a phenomenon.
Yes, and he recorded that at the MTV Studios Unitel Video on 57th Street because we had to build up the
It had a big audience? It placed for a big audience?
It was the Sally Jesse Raphael size audience because they taped that there too. Pretty big audience.
Well, he bombed on this thing.
Yes, I know. It didn't go well.
Well, it didn't go well because they loaded it up with Rush Limbaugh haters in the audience.
Yeah,
the networks did not want this guy to be successful.
I didn't remember that part.
I did because I saw it.
Yeah.
And I said, because I was watching him, listening to him. I said, this guy's got a lot of talent. He was funny. He's always really humor based because he became more analytical as he got older. But he was mostly just kind of like, he might as well just do race humor. But it was funny. His stuff was funny, and he had a really advanced sense of humor. And when they put him on this TV show, it was a setup to fail, and he did fail. And it put him back 2 or 3 years, but then he made a comeback. He was very hurt by this event. And if you watched enough of him long enough, you realize that he's repetitious. He does a bunch of things the radio talk guys do. He likes to yammer. He talks to the producer, and the producer you never get to hear from the producer's a black guy.
Mm-hmm.
Snurdly. And it's mostly, he's really a comedian of a sort.
Mm-hmm.
And to take all of his stuff, all the bad things he said over, since 1987?
Yeah.
35 years of, this is like, reminds me of people who take me out for, Dvorak's always wrong. Look what he said about the mouse.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, but when you're
Rush,
stop. If you pass before me, brother, I will punch people in the mouth if they do that as your eulogy. Promise. Promise. If they do the mouse thing, like you just said,
by the time I'm done, the mouse will be done too.
This is true. It's pretty much out. Yeah, it's pretty much done. That's true.
Pretty much done now.
All right, back to Putin.
So these standalone little gripes about 35 years of content and picking this and picking that and saying he said this, he said that. is really chicken shit. And I really doubt that Matt Taibbi ever listened. Most of these people never listen to the Rush Limbaugh show.
Well, it goes like
it
goes like this. Oh, listen to this when he was a DJ, a top 40 DJ. Oh my gosh, QKV. Oh man, he was a top 40 DJ, and now we can't spin that hate. That's what they all do. It's the same thing. Like, oh wow, did you know he was a bad top 40 DJ?
So
back to Putin.
Taibbi needs to get his act together when it comes to consistency in his thinking. But here he is. They got this guy on, Aaron Mate, who they discuss Putin and the problem the Democrats have, just blaming everything on the Russians. And I thought it was interesting. This is part one.
They couldn't get through an impeachment case without having a little callback to Russiagate. And you pointed this out. Dan, can we see the clip?
And at least one of the insurrectionists may have intended to steal information and give it to a foreign adversary. According to charging documents, Riley Williams allegedly helped steal a laptop from Speaker Pelosi's office to, quote, send the computer device to a friend in Russia, who then planned to sell the device to SVR, Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service. While we can't be certain if or how many foreign spies infiltrated the crowd, or at least coordinated with those who did, we can be sure that any enemy who wanted access to our secrets would have wanted to be part of that mob inside these halls.
Oh, stop for a second. I want you to start it over because there's something in here that really galled me. And these two, none of the Katie or these people picked this up, and I would say it's an integrity thing. It's a journalistic technique. And when he says, quote, when you say something, well, then, quote,
you have to
quote.
Yeah, you should quote.
You assume it's somebody saying something.
Right.
You assume that somebody said this quote that you're saying, quote. He's quoting from the charging document.
Right.
In that case, you're supposed to say, I'm quoting from the document, or I'm reading from the document. You don't say quote as though somebody is speaking these words because nobody said this.
We are just schooling Matt Taibbi today. Pay attention, Taibbi. You're going to learn something here.
He doesn't care. But let's play this again and listen to this bullcrap quote. There's no quote. It's not a quote. He's taking... Yeah, okay, go on.
Get through an impeachment case without having a little callback to Russiagate, and you pointed this out. Dan, can we see the clip?
And at least one of the insurrectionists may have intended to steal information and give it to a foreign adversary. According to charging documents, Riley Williams allegedly helped steal a laptop from Speaker Pelosi's office to, quote, send the computer device to a friend in Russia, who then planned to sell the device to SVR, Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service. While we can't be certain if or how many foreign spies infiltrated the crowd, or at least coordinated with those who did, we can be sure that any enemy who wanted access to our secrets would have wanted to be part of that mob inside these halls.
Oh, my God.
All right, Aaron, can you take that? What's your take on this, first of all? I mean, there's a lot to unpack here, but...
While we can't be certain if there were foreign spies or how many there were, we're still going to use this platform to falsely suggest that the mob was overrun with foreign spies.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to include in this very serious impeachment case we're making against the former president. It's this mentality that Democrats have been afflicted with. You saw it too on Hillary Clinton's podcast where she had on Nancy Pelosi.
Said she had seen the phone logs, right, or the phone calls on January 6th to see if Trump had been on the phone with Putin.
Yes, Hillary Clinton was talking to Pelosi and she's saying, I wonder if you agree with me, whether you want to see if Trump spoke to Putin before the Capitol riot, implying obviously that Putin and Trump somehow orchestrated this mob. They cannot really say anything anymore without attributing it to Russia.
Putin! I can't figure out what their hang-up is that they have to keep doing this attribution to Putin.
Well, so you don't look at China. Hello.
That's obviously now that you mentioned. That's
Hello.
what it is. But this reminds me of the time I went to the dinner where this woman says Putin's calling the shots in this country.
That's
and it all
best.
stems from this Putin thing. But let's listen to part 2 of this. And there's another little zinger in here.
Political nightmare we've been living in for more than 4 years now, where basically uniquely American dysfunctions are blamed onto Russia, including a Trump-inspired mob. They can't even leave Russia out of that.
Point out that Nancy Pelosi, her response to Hillary Clinton included saying, "You remember when I was rude to Trump in my blue dress?" Saying this stuff out loud.
And she said, and what I said to him was, and this is the moment that's captured in infamy in that photo, with you, Mr. President, all roads lead to Putin.
Yes.
Which is really, it's an act of projection, because with these people, for them, everything leads to Putin. They've spent 4 years blaming Putin, not just for electing Trump, but also for, you can pick any topic like Kamala Harris. There's a clip of her on the Breakfast Club where she says that the Russians, the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, the Russians started that. The Russian bot started that. And
that she heard that.
Yeah, and Susan Rice went on CNN during the George Floyd protests and wondered whether Russia was fueling that too. Right now, millions of people are without power in Texas. And remember, it was 2 years ago that Rachel Maddow went on her show and said the Russians could freeze millions of Americans to death by knocking out their power. So there's nothing under this democratic derangement syndrome that Russia cannot do. And
well, that was very interesting because it was in fact, it was Joy Reid who said ADOS were Russian bots. That's the story, how they come up with Susan Rice.
Well, I didn't know that one, but they could have added, that wasn't in there.
No, they were talking about the Russian bots. I know because that was the Colin Kaepernick thing. Was about ADOS. That's how I first met Mo, because that's why I remember it so well. So anyway, they're confused. That's just a nitpick from me. It's not that pertinent. It's just bad. It's just bad journalism.
Well, I don't know. It's still continuing, it seems, that this Russian insanity. I don't know where it's going to end up. Well, but I think you nailed it. It was just to distract us from what's going on with China
and all the people in Congress who have relations to China. But the dementia A or B thing is very, very real, and it's people have completely have their own reality. And I just wanted to share this because it's someone who I know, who I respect. Who I co-founded podcasting with, Dave Weiner. And he wrote a blog post about the insurrection and Trump supporters after the insurrection. And I feel it important to read because while I understand how people have a certain view of what happened and what needs to be done, I don't like this. So he has a 10-point memo. 1, the U.S. is great at elections. We have been running them since inception, longer than any other country in the world. We are the gold standard in elections. What? Mm-hmm. 2, our elections are not perfect, but their imperfections heavily favor Republicans.
What?
3, the 2020 election was a standard U.S. presidential election. Sorry, even I have to laugh at that one. 4, it was secure, fair, and not in any way rigged. 5, Joe Biden won the election in terms of votes and the Electoral College. I'll give him that one. On January, at least that's what the numbers say. On January 6th, this is point number 6, Trump supporters attacked the U.S. Congress and came close to overthrowing the elected government of the United States. This was and still is shocking. We have not fully processed yet what happened on January 6th. Well, I agree.
What?
I agree you haven't fully processed it because that's...
Say the least.
That's not... I don't know about we came close to overthrowing the elected government. My Lord. 7, and this is where it gets...
Wait, stop. Does he envision that guy with the horns on his head sitting up there at the speakers thing, pounding the gavel while a bunch of maniacs are out there
running
voting
the country
on laws?
running the country, exactly. Good one. Thanks for the visual. Okay. 7. Whether you think Trump caused it or not doesn't matter for this question. Trump supporters did it in his name. It seems impossible for one to support Trump at this point and not also support and accept insurrection. If you self-proclaim as a Trump supporter, you also support the overthrow of the elected government of the United States by force. Sorry if this is news to you, but you are not a patriot, you are a traitor. 8. Before the insurrection, you could possibly shrug off our differences, but now your friends who are Trump supporters are no longer willing to accept the result of a fair election, and the response to the fair election is to try to overthrow the government. You can't accept this. Even if they are family members, you have to turn your back on them. 9. I thought Julian Castro said it brilliantly at the impeachment trial. Asked if he was concerned about Trump winning in 2024, he said no. He was afraid of Trump losing. He's afraid of a repeat of what happened on January 6th, and he's right to be afraid. And then 10, Trump supporters live in an incompatible alternate country. The two cannot coexist. We have to defeat them. It's not just about the people who crashed the Capitol. It's about the people who accept that. No excuses, not interested in discussing. We do not coexist. And that's very patriotic, Dave. Thanks for that.
Not discussing.
Not discussing. It's very patriotic.
So I would, by the way, it was Castro who made that speech that Taibbi played where he says, we're the Russians. It was the Russians.
Of course. I'm sure Weiner will post about Putin next. He's like the canary in the coal mine. He's all in. But this is a little bit further, like you have to turn your back on family. Like, oh, brother. Since he turned
very culty. Just
because he hates his brother, that's his own person. He's projecting with that one.
It's like a member of a cult.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course, a tribe, a cult, whatever you want to call it, but that's okay. But maybe you should expect people to call you out when you say that stuff. But no, not worth discussing. Not going to do it. It's just sad.
Good. Just let him get. He doesn't need to discuss it. If he's just critique him and let it slide.
Exactly.
He won't discuss it because there's nothing to discuss in his mind.
No, we almost
all those
lost
points
the country.
are accurate according to him, and he doesn't know what he's. It's enough.
You should introduce him to the Libjos. They might get along.
They probably will. I'm sure they already know. At least one of them's a friend of Weiner's.
Oh, really? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Guaranteed I'll never hear about it then. Okay. What else you got?
I got a couple things here that, first of all, let's get this out of the way. These are old clips. I want to get them out of the way because I think it's important. This is the McKinsey, very not played much, but we have to make a point of the McKinsey and Company, the big superstar consultants that everyone's, I worked for McKinsey.
You can't get fired if you hire McKinsey. You can't get fired.
They got busted for the opioid crisis in this way. This play clip 1.
The opioids crisis that has taken hundreds of thousands of American lives has gotten less attention during the pandemic, but it's no less dangerous. In fact, the CDC says that drug overdoses and deaths have grown substantially since the pandemic began. Now, one of the world's most powerful corporate consulting firms has agreed to a major settlement for its role and trying to, quote, turbocharge sales of painkillers. Stephanie Sy has our update.
Good evening, Judy. The settlement holds McKinsey and Company financially accountable for its extensive work with Purdue Pharma and other drug makers to aggressively market highly addictive painkillers. The agreement allocates $573 million to 47 states, the District of Columbia, and 5 U.S. territories to fund opioid treatment, recovery, and prevention programs. Massachusetts Attorney General Maura Healey has been leading the legal battles against McKinsey and Purdue Pharma and joins me now. Madam Attorney General, it's a pleasure having you on the NewsHour. I want to dive right in. The velocity, the breadth of the opioid epidemic and how many American lives it has devastated is astounding. How much of that would you ascribe to McKinsey Consultants' strategies to sell more OxyContin?
Well, Stephanie, what my office's investigation uncovered is that, in fact, McKinsey was right at the heart of this. McKinsey, to be clear, what our investigation uncovered was consulting with the Sacklers and Purdue. They were instructing them on how to boost OxyContin sales, how to get doctors to prescribe more and more to patients. McKinsey consultants actually went with Purdue sales reps to doctors' offices here in Massachusetts to critique them on how effective they were at selling OxyContin.
Yeah, this is such an undertold story. Of course, this was PBS. This is Judy Woodmuff. I guess they're not sponsored by Hootie. I guess they're not sponsored by any pharma this week or whenever this was broadcast, because this story can't be told on any type of commercial television.
And you will not hear the story on the mainstream media.
And this
is a $500 million fine.
And this is Pete Buttigieg's alma mater, McKinsey.
Yep.
McKinsey. Yeah, great guys.
McKinsey and the CIA.
Yeah, great guys.
Yeah, play part 2.
McKinsey advised Purdue how to avoid FDA and pharmacy restrictions. They later advised Purdue on how to enter the market for opioid rescue and treatment medications because McKinsey knew that people were overdosing and dying and getting sick from OxyContin. So McKinsey's fingers are all over this. It's why we came together as states. This is the first multi-state resolution that will return, importantly, millions and millions of dollars to our states right away that we're going to use directly for treatment. And also, importantly, Stephanie, we did something for the first time, set up an online document repository where in months' time, everyone in the country, researchers, the press, the public will be able to see McKinsey's emails, memos, and the individuals who were involved in this effort.
And the Sackler family, or with Purdue Pharma, this is the second time around for them. Because the first time they hooked people on drugs was it Mother's Little Helper? What do you call it?
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
It's very famous. I'm drawing a blank for some weird reason.
One of those. Valium or something, wasn't it?
Was it Valium? No, it wasn't Valium. Maybe it was Valium.
I think it was Valium.
Yeah, it could be Valium. Yes, Valium.
Well, they know how to make money in the business. They know the business. But to bring in McKinsey to jack up their everything so they can make even more money that they were, they just as though they didn't have enough money, it's again, like you say, you're not going to hear the story in the mainstream media because they're so sold out to the Chinese and to the pharma that it's embarrassing to listen to the big networks. And what are they going to do? They can't not. They just shut up.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a pathetic situation, but there's nothing you can do about it. Here's a guy from Australia. This is another thing we don't hear in this country. This sort of, we used to have in the 70s, probably more than any other period, these editorials on all the not mainstream, but the local news networks.
Mm-hmm.
And there'd be a guy come out, he's a specialist. And they come out and yak about something, usually 3 or 4 times a week. In Australia, they still do it. And this is a guy, and I don't even have the whole thing. I only took a minute of this guy. He's famous in Australia. He's on Sky News. He does editorials. And we have not even come close to hearing anything like this in the American media. But this is a guy going off on Biden.
It's clear, to me at the least, that US President Joe Biden is struggling with dementia and is clearly not up to the task he's been sworn in to do. This was apparent to many during the election campaign, but such was the hatred for Donald Trump by the partisan and poisonous mainstream media. They chose not to highlight anything that actually may have derailed a Biden victory. Even now, after he's been sworn in, many of them are still refusing to speak the truth about Biden's lack of capacity. It was quite telling that while President Biden was playing Mario Kart and napping all of last weekend, apparently he had no official duties, his ambitious deputy Kamala Harris was telephoning foreign leaders. That's a novelty for a vice president. And this week, he emerged to participate in a sanitised town hall being interviewed by the Bidenista, Anderson Cooper of CNN. Biden promptly gave away his teleprompter, and the result was nothing short of a disaster.
Bidenista.
Yeah, I like that term.
That is good. Well, yeah, especially for Anderson Pooper. Well, yeah, there's so much surprising stuff going on. The Washington Post editorial board. Is that a big deal when the whole editorial board writes something? I mean, is the editorial board, is it like the New York Times? It has some weight behind it, or is it not that?
It used to be, I would say, in the 60s and 70s, and maybe into the 80s. It might have been back in the day. But nowadays, it really doesn't mean anything because they all think they've loaded up these editorial boards with think-alike, so they're all on the same page on everything. So they all decide to put their names behind a thought or a position or an editorial. It doesn't mean anything anymore, and I don't think anyone pays any attention to it.
Okay, well, there was something the editorial board wrote about Bitcoin, and just the first sentence is worth laughing at them about. Opinion: Bitcoin's boom won't dethrone the dollar, but that doesn't mean there's no danger. From the opinion by editorial board. Listen to this. Suddenly, Bitcoin is big, created not by a central bank, but by arcane technology that revolves around the ability of miners using huge assemblies of computers to solve complex mathematical problems. I mean, that sentence alone disqualifies them from continuing to write. What arcane technology are they talking about? You mean the souped-up high-end graphics processors, Bitmain machines? Really? That's arcane? It's cutting edge. Meanwhile, Bitcoin crushing at 58,248. Keep it up.
Very specific.
Yes, well, I have the chart always up here in the studio. Let's talk about the purge. The purge continues. And we've got a purged entity coming back or attempting to come back, and that is Parler. And Parler, I think we know that they fired the CEO. He kind of went quietly too. I'm not quite sure what happened to him, but there's an interim CEO of Parler, and Parler I think is coming back online. It's Mark Meckler. Is he one of these Renta CEOs? Do you know Mark Meckler? You know anything about him?
No, never heard of him.
Okay.
He probably is a Renta CEO.
So they interviewed him on American thought leaders, Jan Jekielek, who I respect ATL. The only question that I wanted to know, which wasn't asked, was what concessions did you make to Apple to get back in the App Store? It would have been nice to know that because that was the main thing of the deplatforming from the App Store. They didn't have the right moderation policies, and the app could potentially connect people to dangerous language. So that question never came up, and there's no answer. But if you ever hire a CEO for a technology firm and he speaks like this guy in the next minute and 10 seconds, you should fire him immediately.
It's been working, but not entirely perfect. I wanted to give you an opportunity to just kind of give us an update of where things are at right now.
Yeah, for a little background, when you get taken off the web, I think most people underestimate what that means. If we use a website and it works flawlessly, we never think about the technology. And having had to dig in to see the technology stack that's required to run something like this, it's incredibly complex. There are a lot of layers to it from the ground to the cloud. And all of that stuff had to be rebuilt in order to be back on the web. So we knew there would be some limitations. There have been some bounces and glitches along the way. And so I agree with you. I think the web version is working better. We had some problems with the iOS version for those who are using Apple devices, but we're not up on the App Store yet, which means you can't upgrade your app. We can't remove the bugs from the app, so we have to wire around those. And so I think there is a little bit more glitchiness there. Part of it is load glitchiness as we get surges in traffic as we do media. We're doing our best to manage those surges. What I expect today is much better than we were on Monday, and I would expect to see, still going to see bumps and hiccups along the way, but over the next week or so, you should see that really even out and things should be a lot better.
I got 99 glitches. It's just a glitch. put a goatsy on there, will you?
Glitchity, a couple of things he said that irked me.
Yeah, bump,
technology stack, a little buzzword there.
Yeah.
But what's a technology stack? So he also said he has to be rebuilt from scratch. Yeah. Why?
Why? Because I don't know, because it was glitchy, the previous one.
That explains it.
Do you remember when Mevio hired the guy to be CEO and he came from, remember he was the guy who did all the attaboys. He wanted to give people $100 in the meetings. What the hell? Jeff. Remember Jeff? He came from, he was like a Bing Gordon, Kleiner Perkins insert.
Yeah, I kind of remember Jeff.
Crap, was he from a gaming company? He was from, but it was like that. The guy who knows absolutely nothing. Nothing. Just looks good for the investors. And I had a thought, because we've got Parler and, you've got the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, but really the social media networks, it's Facebook, it's Twitter, and Google has struck out. And Google has tried. They tried with Orkut, which became a huge success amongst transsexuals in Brazil. And that was too much. They could never.
Everybody in Brazil. They like to say that it's transsexuals, but it's everybody in Brazil.
Didn't it start that way?
It just caught on. And for some reason, Brazil is a very social. It's a very social culture, like extremely social.
Yeah.
They'll throw a party around somebody stubbing their toe. And for some reason, Orkut just fit right in with their mentalities.
Right.
And I just don't know why they pulled the plug on it. I mean, when they sell to somebody down there, this always baffles me why these big giant companies, they have a money-making scheme. It doesn't go quite the way they want it to, so they just close it, even though it's doing well somewhere.
And so then they came on, what was the thing before Google Plus? There was something that was also flawed.
Yes, it was, I can't
Buzz,
remember the
Buzz, Google Buzz?
It was something like Buzz, yeah.
Buzz? Yeah, trolls will know. It's something like Google Buzz. Yeah, Buzz. And they failed on that because you exposed everyone you were following or whatever.
It was stupid.
And then they got rid of, now, in the meantime, they killed Google's RSS reader because, they knew how to do this. And so then they came up with Google Plus and your circles, and now that's closing. I would like to give whoever's Sundai, is that his name? Who's running Google?
Yeah, Sundai.
I'd like to give him some advice. If you would like to simultaneously kill, to some degree, it'll take a while, but if you'd like to simultaneously hurt your competitors in Facebook and Twitter, and if you'd like to get a little bit of compassion back for your company, which is hard because you're a bunch of assholes, here's an idea. Bring back Google Reader. Bring back Google Reader with a one-click subscribe so everybody can go back to little blog posts, and then you can make it possible for people to have a timeline. Bring back Google Reader. Support RSS. You will be loved for it. And I think they could really destroy, over time, they could destroy Twitter for sure. I'm not sure about Facebook. It'll take a while. But if you come, because they just want a social network, and they can't do it. And they killed the one that people were using. It's just a thought.
That's not happening.
Okay, I know.
So I did get 4 clips that have been carrying with me. I just want to get out of the way.
They must be heavy, quite a burden.
Oh, you have no idea. In fact, they have to take painkillers.
Aw.
There's only 3. So there's this guy named Carlos Watson, and they're promoting this website that there's claim all the kids are going to. Everybody's all jacked up about it. They got 50 million people that they're going to sell it. It's up for sale. And then you find out that it's a Loren Jobs operation. And you find all the hype for it is all in Axios, where they never mentioned that the two companies are pretty much owned by the same woman. And so it's a black guy running it, which is, good for the
EDI.
Yeah, there you go. And I just want you to hear, I only have 3 clips really. There's one of them just the guy stammering. But I want you to hear these 3 clips and tell me what you think of this guy. And this is, and one of them is very short. This is Carlos Watson Ozzy, and the website's named Ozzy.
Topical about issues and personalities, is that right? Mostly unscripted.
That's actually one of the fun things. So yes, we started unscripted, and they started as doc series, they started as talk shows, they started as town halls, and then just last week we announced that we sold our first 2 scripted shows, which we're super excited about, and I think are going to be important.
And that's a very different skill set that you're going to need to bring to the table.
Very different skill set, but very much in Ozzy's keeping. Ozzy's the kind of folks who on one hand are doing Lifetime's coolest new dating show, which will be called Science of Dating, and it'll be coming out next year, and we're almost done casting for it. And on the other hand, we've got the History Channel's biggest new mega doc this fall. But
sublime to the ridiculous, right?
But why not? Why not? I feel like we're in this moment where, as you and I were talking about before, like kind of the boundaries are gone in lots of ways. You know what I mean? And lots of stuff happens at home, from the personal to the professional, from the, the surprising to the, to sometimes the kind of core.
You have, obviously grown in a very short time. You have also attracted some very prominent investors in Emerson Collective, in Mark Lazary. What do you think it is about Ozzy? What was the pitch, the elevator pitch that you gave them that attracted that kind of high-powered investment that I'm sure has been a real boost for you?
Well, since both of them are NBA owners, I'd like to say it was my basketball skills, but
it was your jump shot.
Exactly, but given that would be fake news, as they say.
For a media company, it's pretty shitty audio the guy's producing there. I wouldn't have stood for that personally.
Well, the big claim to fame that they've managed was a thing in New York at Central Park before COVID called Ozzy Fest. Mm-hmm. And he finally got sued by Ozzy Osbourne.
Good, because Ozfest is Ozzy's thing, yeah.
So this is Ozzy Fest, and it sounds similar. And they had a bunch of speakers. Hillary Clinton and others showed up. It's a very Democrat-oriented operation. They just skew to the Democrat side. And I've never heard of this operation.
I have some experience with this operation.
With Ozzy?
Yes, I do. I'd like to tell you the story.
Well, let me finish my little thought on Oz. So Ozzy sued him. And if I'm in New York and I hear the Ozfest or Ozzy Fest, I would think it was the Ozzy Osbourne thing, and I'd go to see it because I figured there'd be some bands there instead I get a bunch of haranguing politicians.
Totally valid under the Lanham Act. You would be a confused consumer. Ozzy Osbourne has a case.
I think he has a big case. Mm-hmm. But they brag about, we had 200,000 people. And I think, 90,000 of them thought it was Ozzy Osbourne, not you.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, what do you know? What do you know about this group?
When I was promoting Podcaster Pro, what are we now? 3 years ago? Almost, more than 3 years ago. A great product idea, which did come to light, stolen in concept by Rhoda. And if they would just send me one, I wouldn't be bitter about it.
And by the way, they're incompetent not to send you. But they should send me one too, by the way. But they're incompetent not to send you one. I think they're embarrassed about something about it because Horowitz is always bitching about the thing.
It's very close to my original idea. I've said in many different places, the only things that they have to go back and fix, which they haven't done. But it's okay. Just ignore me. Ignore me. It's fine. Ozzy. So I was promoting and I can't remember how we got some word out, but anyway, I got an interview request from Ozzy. I'm like, cool. This is I look at the site. They got interviews with lots of interesting people. I'm like, this is pretty cool.
This Watson guy does interviews.
No, an employee, not him. Ozzy.
Oh, it wasn't him because he has his own podcast.
No. Stop. This is before all of this. This is 3 years ago. They started a little different. They started which now they're creating their own content. They'll tell you the story and then you'll understand. So I do the interview with a femillennial, and she's dumb. She's dumb, not because she's stupid, because she has not done her research. She doesn't know about my MTV background, and she's clearly reading off a piece of paper with a couple of questions. But I put up with it because, I'm promoting something here. So I know kind of the law. Be careful. You're promoting something, that boomerang can come back. So I'm always careful. And then at the end, she said, "That's great. So, all right, well, great." I said, "Well, when are you going to publish it?" "Oh, no, we're not publishing it. We just put it into our archive, and then there's a story about podcasting or MTV or you. Then we might pull it out." So are you fucking crazy? So where was that mentioned that you're just going to put it in your database? I said, "Don't you ever call me again, and I hope you fail in your career, child." And that's what they did. They just went around collecting interviews, and now of course, that didn't work out so well. So now they've turned some of that content or the people who were doing that into some kind of podcast video network of shows that they're now trying to sell because they clearly have no business model. And I'm still angry when I tell the story. I was so insulted by that.
I never heard of these people.
Yeah.
Let's play the second clip.
Yeah. I will look up the person's name for our next show and tell you who that was.
Okay. But meanwhile, let's play
clip 2.
Yes.
I think part of it is I think both of them are big-minded, bold thinkers, and I think they liked Ozzy's desire to not just be one more media entity focusing on today, but that desire to bring people tomorrow. I think they both believed in that. And I think one of the things, Cynthia, that I said to both of them is I said,
"Up talk much?"
People are going to look at this and they're going to say Ozzy is for millennials and Gen Z, and that's who Ozzy's for. But the truth of the matter is I believe what my mom always believed, which is that Ozzy's a state of mind. And whether you are 9 or 90,
stop a second. So what he said there was his mom has always believed that Ozzy's a state of mind. Is she a mind reader, or did she even know that Ozzy existed when he was a little? He's like telling what when I was a little kid. My mom said Ozzy's a state of mind. Oh, okay.
Did we miss something?
Full of crap.
Did we miss something somewhere? That's kind of interesting. All right.
But the truth of the matter is I believe what my mom always believed, which is that Ozzy's a state of mind. And whether you are 9 or 90, if you are about what's new and next, if you're curious, if you're the kind of person who occasionally or often says why not and not just why when presented with something different. In fact, if different is not something to get past, but instead something to excite you. When I say, "Hey, let's try this restaurant. It's a little different. Let's meet this person. It's a little bit different. Let's travel here." Like if you're the kind of person where different is actually, draws you to that, then I think that's what both Mark Lasry, who's obviously been a legendary investor at Avenue Capital, and I think that's what Laureen Powell-Jobs, who has been an incredibly impressive investor and game changer at Emerson Collective. I think that's what both of them, I think that's what they believed in when they saw Ozzy.
Oh, man. Okay.
You think, wait,
Jeez.
I have to play the last clip because this guy can't stop talking. And he doesn't say anything. He's terrible. Mm-hmm. And so this is the example. They asked him a little bit about research and what does he do for his research. And he claims that he literally calls people, but he can't just say, "I call different people and we do a little research." No. He has to put it this way. And this is his little spiel on marketing.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were going to do this. Hold on. Marketing. Yes, got it.
South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico.
Okay, you can.
What, did I do it wrong? What am I doing wrong?
No, it was me. I misedited it. And I've been carrying this stupid clip forever. All right, let's just play Carlos stammering and we're done.
Wow, John. I mean, that's a Curry level fail on that one. All right, stammering. Listen to this. This guy who is Jamaican. Okay, just please do not be confused. I mean, he's American, but 2 Jamaican parents. Let's just be clear. Where did he start his career? McKinsey.
Yeah.
And then he went on to be a total douchebag for a long time. And Ozzy, so he already raised $70 million in that first go around in 2013. So he's out of money. So he's this is either a re-raise or it's, and they pivoted. The publication expanded, I'm reading from Wikipedia, let's say pivoted from a daily digital news publisher to producer to TV shows for major U.S. and international. This is the Ron Bloom of Ozzy.
Yes, he's also part of a scheme, Loren Powell, who owns Axios and owns this largely, where you go to Axios and you read about Ozzy, and there's, it's got millions and millions, 50 million users, which are, again, and it's up for sale and everybody wants to buy it.
Other investors, Larry Sonsini. This is a total Silicon Valley job.
The lawyer.
Yeah. A total Silicon Valley job.
And so they're going to pull a Silicon Valley where our losing operation is going to be sucked up by an operation that can afford it. They've done this with At Home and all these different...
yes. Well, At Home, what was the... what was that other brand?
They got sucked into some phony baloney merger. I mean... They know how to do this, and you get some good accountants in there, and it gets pretty shady. But this guy knows how to sell.
Yeah. Unbelievable. It was a cool little noodle gun thing I just wanted to share. Yes, here it is. I don't know if you saw this. This was the California school board in small place in California. Not even a small place.
Oh, there's one in Oakley.
Oakley, yes. Is that small, Oakley?
Yeah, it's a small little town up in eastern Contra Costa County.
And this
great story.
Yeah, and this just kind of says it all, where they had a school board meeting, which was on Zoom planned, and whoever was responsible for connecting their conference call to the Zoom and broadcasting it was clearly not aware they had already started broadcasting as they're talking, and the teachers... a school board, but it consists of teachers, are basically just bitching about the parents and
great
that they want them to open up. And here's what one of them said.
Right, have a vested interest in this process, and they don't know what we do behind the scenes, and it's really unfortunate that they want to pick on us because they want their babysitters back. Right. That's how I feel.
But there was more.
I agree, and it's fine. It's just I just need to get up.
I totally hear that because my brother had a delivery. Yeah, my brother had a delivery service for medical marijuana. The high clientele were parents with their kids in school.
So all that was really hilarious about how the parents just want their babysitters back. And that really does say it all, because they have been demoted in the current situation that they are to babysitters because of the stupidity of how this distance learning has been set up. But this is the vitriol. This is exactly how they think about your children. And then the cool part is when they get found out, when someone figures out what's going on, because emails are flying.
Uh-oh. Laura Lanier, just FYI, you guys have the meeting. Oh, we have the meeting open to the public right now.
Yeah, and they all had to resign.
I'm gonna shoot you in the face with my noodle gun, you racist piece of shit.
Actually, to stretch the story out a little bit.
Pasta Glock locked and loaded.
Go ahead, stretch.
They refused to resign at first.
Oh, I didn't hear about that part.
Oh yeah, that's a local story. And so then everyone really got mad at their arrogance, and they all bailed. So they did all resign. The guy who didn't resign was the head, I think, the school board. I think he's still hanging in there, but he's apologizing for them.
I love it when the noodle gun strikes.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Yes, we do have a few people to thank for show
1223.
Michael Small, 123.58. Sir Lucas of the Lost Bits in Tacoma, Washington, 111.11. Teresa Fly in Cornersville, Tennessee, 100. Sir John, Knight of the St. Patrick, patron saint of engineers, 8888. He's in Heber Springs, Arkansas. It says Quad Snowman of the South. Joanna Griffin in New York, 80. Alicia Durante in San Diego, California, 7843. Birthday call out. John and Adam, please wish. Okay, we got that on there. Anonymous, 70. Baroness Monica in Drayton Valley, Alberta, 6060. One of our Albertans that stay with us. Sir Bebop. Boop. Sir B Boop. Sir B Boop, Night of the Frozen Tundra, 5678. Probably in Canada too, I'm guessing. Michael Heenan in Fairmont, Minnesota, 5678. Nicholas, and the birthday there. Nicholas Vagan Filer in Havre de Grace, Maryland, 5555. Sir Donald Winkler, 5555. He's in Deutschland, Berlin.
Hello, Deutschland. Here's the Hof.
And the birthday list is in play for him. Greg Edwards in Chicago, Illinois, 5510. Patrick Nestor in Saint-Sauveur, Quebec, 5151. Kurt Sundberg, Baron of the Vortex Ring State in Mercer Island, Washington, 51. Daniel LeBoy in Bath, Michigan, 50. Sir Andrew Gusick, Sir Greensboro, North Carolina. Lynn Kissig in Newark, Delaware. Daniel Martin.
Hold on. Lynn Kissig is first time. Oh, never asked for de-douching. Please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
And then Daniel Martin, $50, and he is also requesting a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Now, these are $50 donors, and they're going to name and location of the last few, which is Jason Wright in Fort John, BC, Julian Robbins in Aptos, California, Lucas Deaton in Dayton. Megan Emery, Robert Case in Mill Spring, North Carolina. Adrian Muller in Atascadero. And last but not least, Matthew Grice. And those are all our producers for show 12, 13, 23.
Yes. And we thank everyone who came in under the 50. Sometimes to be anonymous. We have a couple of those $49.99s. I see you, but also people who are on our sustaining donations. These are much smaller amounts that you can spread out. You can really make it up yourself. It is value for value after all. Whatever you think this is worth to you, whatever the entire community of No Agenda, the whole Gitmo Nation with all the websites, all the search engines, all the show notes, the social network, the troll room, all of that, if it's worth anything, just put it into numbers, send it off to us. We love that. And we thank everybody for your courage and for producing the best podcast in the universe. We'll do it again. Please join us on Thursday for that and go here to find out more.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Final card for everybody who needs it.
You've got karma.
As we move towards the final week of February, here's the birthday list. Amanda Ide says happy birthday to her smoking hot husband Neil, turns 52, turned 52 yesterday. Sir Andy of Terrigal Beach, his beautiful daughter Sophia Cantrell turns 15 today. Michael Heenan, happy birthday to his wife Chelsea, 28 tomorrow. Sir Donald Winkler, 46 tomorrow as well. Catherine Jennings says happy birthday to J.D. Moore, who'll be celebrating on the 24th. And Alicia Durante says happy birthday to James D. from San Diego. And we say happy birthday to all of you from the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah. Title changes. Turn and face the slave. Title changes. Don't want to be a douchebag. Title changes.
Title changes. We have an upgrade for Sir Trenton Scoville. He becomes a baronet, Scoville, I should say, of the Piedmont. And Sir Leiron Southeast Alabama becomes Baron of the Wiregrass region. Thank you both for supporting the No Agenda Show in that additional amount of $1,000. And that will be updated at noagendapeerage.com. Then we have 3 knightings. One is posthumously. One is for Bumper Morgan. Bumper Morgan, who passed away in May of 2020. his wife, and they listened to the show for many years. And he's the one that did the Polar Vortex jingle that we use from time to time. And for all of his contributions, but also to radio. I think I worked with him when he was at Y107 in Nashville. He'll be missed. Young guy, too, like 52. So we have the Horde coming on board and Mr. Doubleina. So we need some bladage. I got that one.
I got this one.
I like it. So, Bumper Morgan in spirit, the Horde, and Mr. Doubleina, why don't you join us here at the round table, because you're about to become knights of the round table, the No Agenda Knights and Dames, and I'm very proud to pronounce the KB as Sir Bumper Morgan, the horrible horde of better beef cows, and Sir Doubleina. For you, we've got Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys, and Chardonnay, but also by request, Pinners and Pepsi, and 2012 Silver Oak Cabernet Sauvignon, and a bone-in filet. Maybe you'd like some brown cheese and aquavit and small hove, or maybe some vodka and vanilla, sparkling cider and escorts, ginger ale and gerbils, maybe some geishas and sake, or how about just, yes, mutton and mead. It's a favorite, and you can collect your well-deserved No Agenda night ring and the sealing wax and your certificate by going to noagendanation.com/rings. Eric the Shill will be very happy to help you out and get that off to you as soon as possible. And thank you again for supporting us. It's so nice to have such a large round table.
No Agenda Meetups.
I think what Baron Scott here in No Agenda and Austin has been doing with the NA 512 meetup and the group that became a support and help group throughout the electrical and water crisis was probably some kind of stimulus, or I mean, there's a lot of meetups. It's just crazy full how many meetups are taking place. And I have 4 reports. Now usually when I get these reports, I edit them down to make sure that they're, kind of okay. Just before we started, I got one from Kenosha, and it was sent in by Sir Ramsey Kane, who has done great end of show mixes. So I'm hoping he edited it. If not, just we'll have to deal with it. Here's the meetup report.
Okay, here we are at the Backwater Wisco meetup in Walworth, Wisconsin. I'm Ramsey Kane. Sir Ramsey Kane, coming at you live. Here you go.
This is Brian. I'm calling out all the Fox Valley, Illinois residents. We got to meet up. I came all the way up here only an hour and a half. We can do it. Ramsey will come down.
This is Esme from Ripon, and we drove 2 hours of this meetup for our second meetup in the space of about 4 weeks. Go Packers!
In the Netherlands, it is verboten to have any kind of meetup, certainly after 9 o'clock. There was a clandestine meetup, my number of producers, and it was codified non-digital recording.
Hi, Adam, John. We have to be really silent because we're doing a secret meetup in the Netherlands. I'm here with Tim and with Sander. We're having a great time in the morning. In the morning, here is Sander speaking. I expect the new Prime Minister of Ireland will be Donald Trump, don't know, somebody else. And keep cross our fingers what will happen soon. Be quiet. The hookers are still in the basement. We expect to have the cops come soon, but everything. Fuck, police. I'll give Tim just ears coming. Hi, this is Sir Tim, Knight of the Jet Shenanigans. Fuck the avondklok.
All right, guys, thanks. We go to Springfield for their Super Spreader event.
Hey, this is Caleb Brinkman here at Lindbergh's Tavern, and we're just wrapping up the Springfield Super Spreader event, and we got some people who want to talk to you.
Hey, it's Amanda Dulsaver. My husband still has not made me a dame. He's a douchebag.
Apparently, I'm a douchebag. This is Josh. In the morning, Dustin Road here, and it was another great event. Go podcasting.
And Agora Hills.
Okay, everyone. This is Leo Bravo at the Flight of the No Agenda meetup number 12 in Agora Hills. I'm going to pass the phone around. I have a lot of folks here that have some words to say.
Hey, it's Steve Banstra from Nashville. I came all the way to California just to say that Kriegs is still a douchebag.
JD Any Mouse in the
morning.
In the morning, John from Calabama. Glad to be here.
Dude named Tim in the morning. Hello, it's Sir Craig Porter, the Ronin 73s, came up here from Carlsbad.
Great time at the meetup here. Hey, Adam, nice hair. This is Slick Rick.
This is Eric in the morning, at night. Happy podcasting.
This is Thomas the Engineer. I'm halfway to becoming a knight. In the morning, Zaisangwu.
Hey, this is Tommy the Heretic from Santa Barbara. I just want to thank Leo for putting this on. I'd also like to say Leo Bravo is a spy.
It's a spook, not a spy. Thank you all very much for your meetup reports. And here are the meetups. In fact, there was one added today. It's been underway for a couple hours. So only if you went to noagendameetups.com. Would you know that there is a last-minute meetup in Virginia, the de-douching cold popcorn extravaganza. Now, also today at 3:33 Aussie time, which means it's already done. It was Cooper's Ale House meetup, so it's already Tuesday there. Speaking of Tuesday, in the United States, the Nashville No Agenda Lil Fauci Wheeze fan club kicks off at 6 at Smokin' Thighs. On Thursday, the Houston Tabletop Games, they kick off at 6 p.m. at Tea and Victory. That's Houston. Also on Thursday, the Denver Pierogi Palooza at 6 p.m. in Kinga's Lounge. That's a new listing. The TMI Evac Zone meetup in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, in the Susquehanna Valley, will be at Crossed Water, and that is on Thursday. Also Thursday, Charlotte, North Carolina at 7 o'clock, Triple C Brewing. And then on Friday, we have the inaugural Brisbane Aussie Shots in the Arm Slaves meetup, 5:30 Eastern Standard Time for Aussies. It's an updated venue, the Moreton Bay Trailer Boat Club in Manly in Queensland. And also on Friday, the Block and Bar Grill for the 719 local Colorado Springs, Colorado meetup at 6:30. That's just a selection of what's coming up this week. We have them packed all the way through February and well through March and far beyond. Go find one, go hang out. You'll like it. The people are fun. You'll have people you can rely on for weird situations, and you have a community. If you can't find one near you, start one yourself. It's easy. NoAgendaMeetups.com. It's like a party.
Sometimes you want to go hang out with all the nights and days. You want to be where you won't be triggered or held to blame. You want to be where everybody feels the same.
All right, ISO time. ISO time. You got any ISOs?
My ISOs aren't as good. I heard one during the clips that I thought would have been a better one than I have. But let's play them.
Okay.
I think I only have this one. Know what you have done.
You know what you have done?
That's the one you got?
Yeah, I guess there's not much to brag about.
No, I think this will do it.
It's huge.
It's a little noisy.
It's so noisy.
It's noisy.
Sounds like she's in a cable car.
It's huge.
It's huge. It doesn't sound as good. Shoot, man. Well, we need some kind of ISO.
Well, the best ISO was the beginning of a clip I had.
Yeah.
On the if you listen just to the beginning of this clip, the BBC report on the plague village.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the old lady.
Okay, hold on a second. Let's see if we'll do it live. Let me see what we got.
Are you worried about what's happening now, the virus?
Of course, everyone is. I don't know how long it's going to last.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, you got it.
I don't know how long it's going to last.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, yes, the lady is ours.
Yeah.
Good one.
The voice. What a
good one.
Bullcrap voice.
Good one. You got anything else before we leave?
I have a couple of things I want to play. One, because we have some, I put this in the show notes. Play the Mars mission DART analogy off of NPR.
Today, with the touchdown of the rover Perseverance on the Martian surface, landing that completed by far the riskiest part of the mission, placing the car-sized plutonium-powered rover on a 5-by-4-mile strip. The feat likened to throwing a dart from Washington, D.C. and hitting a bullseye in Dallas. The rover's cameras almost immediately began broadcasting pictures from the Martian surface. The rover, nicknamed Percy, will spend the next 2 years collecting rock samples and other material that at some future date will be collected by another mission and returned to Earth.
Yeah.
So it's like taking a dart from Washington, D.C., throwing it and hitting a bullseye in Dallas. Now, the first thing I thought of when I heard that was, Gee, that's interesting.
Yes.
How did we hit the Chinese embassy by accident in Belgrade?
This is why you wanted it in the show notes. Okay, I got it.
In 1999.
Nice. Yeah.
So,
with our pinpoint GPS CIA programmed precision, how could we miss? And we hit the Chinese embassy. Shocker.
Now, so I thought about that. So I looked it up to get the details, and the new information that's come to light on this bombing, I didn't know half of this story. People should look into the show notes and read about this accidental bombing of the Chinese embassy in Belgrade. For one thing, that we launched a lot of bombs in the area. The CIA had access to only 3 of these guided missiles. All 3 of the CIA guided missiles hit the Chinese embassy.
Whoopsie.
Not 1, not 2, all 3. They had the right information. They also had the do not hit list, which was everybody had.
The database.
The database. They had the right list. They also discovered that the CIA had the right maps because they said, oh, well, it's an accident because we had old maps. And it turns out, so there's nothing to indicate that the CIA didn't bomb the Chinese embassy in 1999 on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they claim, well, it was an accident.
Which kind of gives them a little bit of reason to be angry at us and retaliate.
It killed 3 Chinese reporters is all the real fallout was, besides destroying the building.
It's not friendly.
And I would recommend people read the whole report because it's a very, very intriguing set of circumstances where this thing was hit. And I was immediately reminded of throwing a dart from Washington, D.C. and hitting a bullseye in Dallas. We can do that, but we can't miss the Chinese embassies. Okay.
Yeah, it's under China in the show notes is where I put it. I have one, quickie. I think that this show was one of the first, mainly through our show notes and search engine, bingit.io, that we discovered how this Build Back Better was being used all over the world by every government, including Joe Biden. We got... my goodness, the new Japanese prime minister, the Dutch prime minister, the New Zealand prime minister, the Trudeau prime minister, and Boris Johnson. And hopefully, since enough people have pointed out that this is clearly some UN organized term that they like to bring back, and now they've collectively decided to all use it for some kind of globalist takeover. Boris couldn't keep it up without saying something about this, and he projects.
We also want to work together on building back better from the pandemic, a slogan that I think that Joe has used several times. I think he may have nicked it from us, but I certainly nicked it from somewhere else. I think probably some UN disaster relief program, but we want to build back better.
Joe nicked it from him.
I don't think so. I think they all nicked it from somebody, but it wasn't each other.
I think they all got the same marching orders.
They got the same memo.
Yeah, the same memo. Hey.
I really find it disgusting what's happened to Boris Johnson.
He went into that hospital and a different guy came out.
Yeah. And it's apparent. And the different guy is a bad guy. Get rid of him.
Yeah. He's not so cool anymore. Coming up next on yournoagendastream.com, told you it was a cool place to hang out. Grumpy Old Ben's, they will be doing a show about Aussies versus the big tech. That'll be cool. Now, the end of show mixes are dynamite. We got us some Rolando Gonzalez to kick it off. Then, Rexo Solo returns. And these are beauties. These are full-on productions. And we wind it up with some Andre Coleman. And then we will, it's time for us to start drinking wine. And we'd love to see you back here on Thursday. Please consider supporting the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure. Dvorak.org/NA. Coming to you from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of the Drone Star State, Austin, Texas. FEMA Region number 6 in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where the trains are rolling, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Thursday right here. Remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Until then, adios, mofos! And such. Let's add the energy markets to our list of stuff we learned in the past year that is completely messed up, corrupt, and not in our best interest. I'll just run down the list because I think we should keep it.
The American people deserve to know.
Education, teachers' unions, universities, what they're teaching, messed up.
A black man invented the light bulb.
Politicians all hooked up to China, like Mitch McConnell and Swalwell, and then there's Pelosi and all these corrupt a-holes.
We just don't know.
We got elitists who are eating out at French Laundry.
Ridiculous bullshit.
We got Cuomo's killing old people. Who gives a crap?
It's scary.
The pharmaceutical industry pushing shit down your throat.
We're trying to understand that.
Opioids, which addicted people, and they lied about it. Sackler, for the second time around, he did it with Vicodin.
Biology and disease are formidable opponents.
The medical community. How about health insurance, anybody? Anarchy, anarchy, anarchy! That's not a scam, just China.
They're not following the rules.
NBA, Apple, Nike, using slave labor, stock market, Wall Street bets, climate change.
The finding has not been peer-reviewed.
Central banks, fiat.
You don't have a choice.
White helmets, fake news, corrupt media, Hollywood, Silicon Valley, big tech, big agriculture.
As American industry steps up to help, so are America's doctors and scientists.
That is a World Economic Forum UN 2030 Sustainable Development Goals in process.
Whether they know it or not, they're just contributing to the propaganda.
Insincerity is now being pulled apart.
The agencies are primarily concerned with protecting their own reputations.
You're a liar, a podcast liar. Meanwhile, we're all here in a pharma-controlled biosecurity state. Hot mic, hot mic, hot mic!
That was
shit.
Are you praying to the devil?
Coming off of that election, I think I'm depressed. This might be a grab for attention, but nonetheless, I've been trying for weeks to write an end of show mix. Funny how coming up with nothing's got me stressed. So here we go. How about a song about writer's block? How about a song about, are you convinced that Biden won? Cause I am not. You can keep that snake oil. Before I buy that, I'll go on Robinhood and buy a stock from Friar Tuck. But I'll have to circle back to that. I'm trying to keep up with executive orders. They're coming at me back to back. I'm trying to keep up with gas prices and make sure all my liberal friends notice that they rising because of Biden's freck attack. When all the while I can't stop thinking, not my president. I know I sound like a child, but they set the precedent. If I know what's good for me, I won't let them take up residence inside my brain, driving me as insane as them leftists getting. Right there, that's where no agenda's needed. That's where my amygdala start getting overheated. The hypocrisy that I am seeing's getting so egregious, and I don't understand how they can think that we don't see it, or maybe they don't care because they consider us defeated. I can't disagree when a sitting president can be deleted. I used to think that we were different. Americans have guns. What good's a gun if its only purpose is to ensure you keep it? By the way, I don't think they'll try to take them. I think they're brainwashing your children, so one day they will hand them over willingly, like, here, this thing is dangerous, and I don't think there's anything that we can do to change it. Right there, that's where no agenda's needed. That's where my amygdalas start getting overheated. The hypocrisy that I am seeing's getting so egregious, and I don't understand how they can think that we don't see it. If they tell us 2 + 2 is 5 enough, will we believe it? Cause I just watched the vast majority give in to mask authorities, all because of something someone said on TV, with zero scientific proof of any efficacy. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Amazing how they make me feel like maybe I'm the one that's living in Dimension B, potentially Dimension C, mentally minority, and currently everything in the world's depressing me. And right there, that's where no agenda's needed. That's where my amygdalas start getting overheated. The hypocrisy that I am seeing's getting so egregious, and I don't understand how they can think that we don't see this.
you were going to prevent the emergence of variants here in our country.
I'm feeling a little leery.
You need to get vaccinated when it becomes available.
This is a virus that none of us have ever experienced in our bodies.
It was just red and angry and had hype.
Yeah, but some of that is not dramatic where, it's just, super painful.
We're working hard to earn your trust, and we know that adverse reactions to the vaccine are rare, but they can still happen.
We need to make sure there's not severe side effects.
In essence, ultimately, yes. Ultimately, yes. In essence, ultimately, yes.
We are going to see something like we have not seen yet in this country.
It appears vaccines are less effective against the new variant.
She still could have virus in her nasopharynx.
Before mutations take hold,
it would be prudent to wear a mask.
A man who previously recovered from the virus has been reinfected with the South African variant.
The UK variant. South African variant.
The UK variant. The South African variant. 7 variants.
The vaccine variants.
Homegrown here in the United States.
I mean, once they're fully vaccinated,
we are going to see something like we have not seen yet in this country.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
I don't know how long it's going to last.